super stoked. Do you think we have time for me to do my launch of a little product called Rainfall, or should we wait?
It's up to you. I mean, I'd probably do it now before I do it any other time.
Absolutely, guys.
I don't have your graphics ready. But...
I do. I have it ready.
Okay.
Guys, I am so deeply pleased to introduce Rainfall, your gateway to nature's purest skincare. After 6 months of testing and research, I'm proud to present a formula that transforms your skincare routine into a rejuvenating rainstorm. It's crafted with the healing power of aloe. Rainfall nourishes your skin with essential vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, leaving it radiant and revitalized. Key ingredients include cannabis sativa oil, rich in omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, benzoin essential oil, known for its soothing and healing properties. It helps reduce inflammation and promotes skin repair. Apricot kernel oil, vitamins A and E, softens and smooths the skin. It also contains laetrile, known as vitamin B17, and creating Rainfall was not easy. It took months of relentless research and a significant investment, but the results are worth it. I'm excited to share this exclusive release with the Badlands community. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/rainfall and use promo code Badlands for 10% off your order. Buying 3 or more bottles gets you free shipping. Now, let's make it rain. I'm so excited to have this, guys. Aloe-based. Oh, God, it just makes dead skin tumble away. I can't get enough of this stuff. badlandsmedia.tv/rainfall.
There you go. I was going to say, put it on your head.
Oh, yeah. The bald ass head needs the rainfall.
Oh, Patrick, I've got aloe growing down here like weeds. Like if you have one aloe growing, you've got 10 in like a 3 square foot radius.
Dude, you have no idea how much freaking aloe plant is required just to make 1 bottle of Rainfall. It is nuts.
Do tell. Do tell.
I couldn't even begin because I buy the aloe vera gel in enormous bulk. But if you actually open up 1 frond of an aloe plant and scrape out the gel, dude, it's just a little bit.
Yeah. Guys, if you wouldn't mind doing us a favor, if you're watching this, could you share this stream, like repost it, whatever, and also share our YouTube. I'll post in the chat here. If I can figure out how to do it.
Yeah, and welcome to the YouTube audience. I can see their comments rolling in now too.
Yeah, they're
hi YouTube.
How do you chat on Rumble or on Twitter? I mean.
Okay, so you have to click.
Oh, you have to click
You have to click the stream on the side. It says, "Okay, Badlands Media is broadcasting," and then it gives you a. Then it gives you a stream you can use, a chat room you can use. Badlands special media coverage of the first 2024 presidential debate. Share, copy link.
All right, and then
John
guys,
King used to be married to Dana Bash. He is talking right there on the right. Used to be married to the moderator.
Is this the one that he was one of the 51 intelligence agents?
No, that's her current.
No, John King is the CNN election screen man, and Jeremy Bash was her husband before John King. He was in the Obama administration, and he was also, as Zach just said, one of the guys behind the letter from the 51 former intelligence officials declaring that the Hunter Biden laptop has all the hallmarks of a Russian disinformation operation.
Insanity.
Here we go.
It's like we're getting close here. We will be having other people join us throughout the stream, and we'll be doing some post-debate coverage. So we'll see you guys.
We're live from Georgia, a key battleground state in the race for the White House. In just moments, the current U.S. president will debate the former U.S. president as their party's presumptive nominees, a first in American history. We want to welcome our viewers in the United States and around the world to our studios in Atlanta. This is the CNN presidential debate.
This debate is being produced by CNN and is coming to you live on CNN, CNN International, CNN.com, CNN Max, and CNN Espanol. This is a pivotal moment between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump in their rematch for the nation's highest office. Each will make his case to the American people with just over 4 months until Election Day. Good evening, I'm Dana Bash, anchor of CNN's Inside Politics and co-anchor of State of the Union.
I'm Jake Tapper, anchor of CNN's The Lead and co-anchor of State of the Union. Dana and I will co-moderate this evening. Our job is to facilitate a debate between the two candidates tonight. Before we introduce them, we want to share the rules of the debate with the audience at home. Former President Trump will be on the left side of the screen. President Biden will be appearing on the right. A coin toss determined their positions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer a question and 1 minute each for responses and rebuttals. An additional minute for follow-up, clarification, or response is at the moderator's discretion.
When it's time for a candidate to speak, his microphone will be turned on and his opponent's microphone will be turned off. Should a candidate interrupt when his microphone is muted, he will be difficult to understand for viewers at home. At the end of the debate, each candidate will get 2 minutes for closing statements. There is no studio audience tonight. Pre-written notes, props, or contact with campaign staff are not permitted during the debate. By accepting our invitation to debate, both candidates and their campaigns agreed to accept these rules.
Now, please welcome the 46th President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Folks, how are you? Great to be here. Thank you.
And please welcome the 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump. Gentlemen, thanks so much for being here. Let's begin the debate, and let's start with the issue that voters consistently say is their top concern, the economy. President Biden, inflation has slowed, but prices remain high. Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket of groceries that cost $100 then now costs more than $120. And typical home prices have jumped more than 30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under President Trump?
We got to take a look at what I was left when I became president and what Mr. Trump left me. We had an economy that was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach into your arm. You'll be all right. The economy collapsed. There were no jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%. It was terrible. And so what we had to do is try to put things back together again. And that's exactly what we began to do. We created 15,000 new jobs. We brought out a position where we have 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, but there's more to be done. There's more to be done. Working class people are still in trouble. I come from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I come of a household where the kitchen table, if the things weren't able to be met during the month, it was a problem. Price of eggs, the price of gas, the price of housing, the price of a whole range of things. That's why I'm working so hard to make sure I deal with those problems. And we're going to make sure that we reduce the price of housing. We're going to make sure we build 2 million new units. We're going to make sure we cap rents so corporate greed can't take over. The combination, what I was left with in corporate greed, is the reason why we're in this problem right now. In addition to that, we're in a situation where if you take a look at all that was done in his administration, he didn't do much at all. By the time he left, things were in chaos, literally chaos. And so we put things back together. We created, I said, those jobs. We make sure we had a situation where we brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue for many people, to $15 for a insulin shot as opposed to $400. No senior has to pay more than $200 for any drug, all the drugs they can include beginning next year. And the situation is we're going to make that available to everybody, to all Americans. So we're working to bring down the price around the kitchen table, and that's what we're going to get done.
Thank you. President Trump?
We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID. And when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars and so many other things. Everything was rocking good. But the thing we never got the credit for, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess. He created mandates that was a disaster for our country. But other than that, we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce back jobs, a bounce back from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Thank you. President Biden?
Well, look, the greatest economy in the world. He's the only one who thinks that, I think. I don't know anybody else who thinks he had the greatest economy in the world. And, you know, the fact of the matter is that we find ourselves in a situation where his economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. He raised a deficit larger than any president has in any one term. He's the only president other than Herbert Hoover who's lost more jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover. The idea that he did something that was significant. And the military, you know, when he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that. When he was president, we were still finding ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country. The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
President Trump, I want to follow up if I can.
Am I allowed to respond to him?
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. You can do whatever you want with the minute that we give you. I want to follow up. You want to impose a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
It's not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cost countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in all fairness to China. It's going to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But he made a statement. The only thing he was right about is I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest regulation cut in history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down and then they bounced back. And he's taking credit for bounce back jobs. You can't do that. He also said he inherited 9% inflation. No, he inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months. And then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing, and they don't know what they were doing. It was the worst, probably the worst administration in history. There's never been. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
President Trump, over the last 8 years, under both of your administrations, the national debt soared to record highs. And according to a new nonpartisan analysis, President Trump, your administration approved $8.4 trillion in new debt, while so far, President Biden, you've approved $4.3 trillion in new debt. So, former President Trump, many of the tax cuts that you signed into law are set to expire next year. You want to extend them and go even further, you say. With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID. And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about any other country. But we spurred, that tax spurred. Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that. We took in more revenue with much less tax, and companies were bringing back trillions of dollars back into our country. The country was going like never before, and we were ready to start paying down debt. We were ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet, the oil and gas right under our feet. We were going to have something that nobody else has had. We got hit with COVID. We did a lot to fix it. I gave him an unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things that we came up with. We gave him something great. Remember, more people died under his administration, even though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration, and we were right in the middle of it, something which a lot of people don't like to talk about. But he had far more people dying in his administration. He did the mandate, which is a disaster, mandating it. The vaccine went out. He did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine. And he did a very poor job, just a very poor job. And I will tell you, not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States anymore. We're like a third world nation between weaponization of his election, trying to go after his political opponent. all of the things he's done. We've become like a third world nation, and it's a shame. The damage he's done to our country. And I'd love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails, and mental institutions to come into our country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block. President Biden, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this question about the national debt.
He had the largest national debt of any president in a 4-year period, number one. Number two, that $2 trillion tax cut benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. I mean, billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, childcare, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare because all of these people are coming in. They're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security. These millions and millions of people coming in, they're trying to put them on Social Security. He will wipe out Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way he finished that sentence. And it's a shame. What's happened to our country in the last 4 years is not to be believed. Foreign countries, I'm friends with a lot of people. They cannot believe what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us. We give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid. They think we're very stupid people. What we're doing for other countries, and they do nothing for us. What this man has done is absolutely criminal.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
This is the first presidential election since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. This morning, the court ruled on yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho, despite that state's restrictive ban. Former President Trump, you take credit for the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of abortion to the states.
Correct.
However, the federal government still plays a role in whether or not women have access to abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion bill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it. And if you look at this whole question that you're asking, complex, but not really complex. 51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, everybody wanted it back. Religious leaders. And what I did is I put 3 great Supreme Court justices on the court, and they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted. Now, 10 years ago or so, they started talking about how many weeks and how many this, getting into other things. But every legal scholar throughout the world, the most respected, wanted it brought back to the states. I did that. Now the states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that an end result that was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought. Kansas, I would say the same thing. Texas is different. Florida is different. But they're all making their own decisions right now. And right now, the states control it. That's the vote of the people. Like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't. Follow your heart. But you have to get elected also. And because that has to do with other things. You got to get elected. The problem they have is they're radical because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth, if you look at the former governor of Virginia, He was willing to do this. He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby. What happened is we brought it back to the states, and the country is now coming together on this issue. It's been a great thing.
Thank you. President Biden?
It's been a terrible thing, what you've done. The fact is that the vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided, supported Roe. And that's this idea that they're all against it is just ridiculous. And this is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks, you don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor, and have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help. The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states, let each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in, they talk about that. But here's the deal: there's a lot of young women are being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters, it's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
There have been many young women murdered by the same people he allows to come across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world, considered the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he opened it up, and these killers are coming into our country, and they are raping and killing women. And it's a terrible thing. As far as the abortion is concerned, it is now back with the states. The states are voting. In many cases, it's frankly a very liberal decision. In many cases, it's the opposite. But they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the people, which is what everybody wanted, including the founders, if they knew about this issue, which frankly they didn't. But they would have, everybody wanted brought back. Ronald Reagan wanted it brought back. He wasn't able to get it. Everybody wanted it brought back, and many presidents had tried to get it back. I was the one to do it. And again, this gives it the vote of the people, and that's where they wanted it. Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
Staying on the topic of abortion, President Biden, 7 states, I'll let you do that. This is the same topic. 7 states have no legal restrictions on how far into a pregnancy a woman can obtain an abortion. Do you support any legal limits on how late a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy?
I supported Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters. First time is between the woman and the doctor. Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor, between the woman and the state. The idea that the politicians, that the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is ridiculous. That's the last. No politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be making those decisions. That's how it should be run. That's what you're going to do. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
Vagina. He can take the life of the baby in the 9th month and even after birth, because some states, Democrat run, take it after birth. Again, the former governor of Virginia, put the baby down, then we decide what to do with it. So he's willing to, as we say, rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month and kill the baby. Nobody wants that to happen, Democrat or Republican. Nobody wants it to happen.
That is simply not true. The Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance. Only if a woman's life is in danger, she's going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen. But we are not for late-term abortion, period. Period.
Under Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion. You can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
For 51 years, that was the law. 51 years, constitutional scholarship said it was the right way to go. 51 years, and it was taken away because this guy put very conservative members on the Supreme Court. He takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do? What's he going to do, in fact, if the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass a universal ban on abortion, period, across the board at 6 weeks or 7 or 8 or 10 weeks, something very, very conservative. Is he going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
Let's turn now to the issue of immigration and border security. President Biden, a record number of migrants have illegally crossed the southern border on your watch. Overwhelming border states and overburdening cities such as New York and Chicago, and in some cases causing real safety and security concerns. Given that, why should voters trust you to solve this crisis?
Because we worked very hard to get a bipartisan agreement that not only changed all of that, it made sure that we are in a situation where you had no circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of border police there are now. We significantly increased the number of asylum officers. Significantly, by the way, the Border Patrol endorsed my position. In addition to that, we found ourselves in a situation where when he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure the families were separated. That's not the right way to go. What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. That's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the safest border in the history of our country. The border, all he had to do was leave it. All he had to do was leave it. He decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum, terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now, all terrorists all over the world, not just in South America, all over the world. They come from the Middle East, everywhere, all over the world, they're pouring in. And this guy just left it open. And he didn't need legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president. Brandon, just speak to him. But look, we had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming up in
Thank you,
caravans.
President Trump. President Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything across the border is one who came along and killed and his administration, killed an Al-Qaeda person come in and his administration, killed three American soldiers. That's the only terrorist that's there. I'm not saying that no terrorist ever got through, but the idea they're emptying their prisons, we're welcoming these people, that's simply not true. There's no data to support what he said. Once again, he's exaggerating, he's lying.
President Trump, staying on the topic of immigration, you've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second. He said we killed 3 people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the 2 greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world. And it had a huge impact on everything, not just border, on everything. He's the one that killed people with the bad water, including hundreds of thousands of people dying and also killing our citizens when they come in. We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York, in California, in every state in the union, because we don't have borders anymore. Every state is now a border. And because of his ridiculous, insane, and very stupid policies, people are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime. They're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen before. And you're reading it like these 3 incredible young girls over the last few days. One of them, I just spoke to the mother, and they just had the funeral for this girl, 12 years old. This is horrible what's taken place. What's taken place in our country, we're literally an uncivilized country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like. And we have to get a lot of these people out, and we have to get them out fast because they're going to destroy our country. Just take a look at where they're living. They're living in luxury hotels in New York City and other places. Our veterans are on the street. They're dying because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all. And he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody been worse. I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA. He has the worst. He's gotten rid of all the things that I approved. Choice that I got through Congress, all of the different things I approved, they abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half because he's done all these great things that we did. And I think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy. but he has killed so many people at our border by
Thank you,
allowing
President Trump.
all of these people to come in. And
President
it's a very
Biden,
sad day in America.
President Biden, you have the mic.
Every single thing he said is a lie. Every single one. For example, veterans are a hell of a lot better off since I passed the PACT Act. 1 million of them now have insurance and their families have it. Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And his group opposed that. We're also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq, living next to one of those burn pits, came back with stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently in France for D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
President Trump.
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines. He made that up. He put it in commercials. We've notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have. To think that I would, in front of generals and others, say suckers and losers. We have 19 people that said it was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia was made up, just like the 51 intelligence agents are made up, just like the new thing with the 16 economists are talking. It's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said that the laptop was Russia disinformation. It wasn't. That came from his son, Hunter. It wasn't Russia disinformation. He made up the suckers and losers, so he should apologize to me right now.
4-star general standing to your side who was on your staff who said you said it, period. That's number one. And number two, the idea that I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history. And they now are in their family. The only sacred obligation we have as a country is to care for our veterans when they come home and their families and equip them when they go to war. That's what we're doing. That's what the VA is doing now. They're doing more for veterans than ever before in our history.
Motherfucker.
Thank you so much.
Let's move to the topic of foreign policy. I want to begin with Russia's war against Ukraine, which is now in its 3rd year. Former President Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he'll only end this war if Russia keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed and Ukraine abandons its bid to join NATO. Are Putin's terms acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander-in-chief, if that's what you call him, that we've ever had. They can't stand him. So let's get that straight. And they like me more than just about any of them. And that's based on every single bit of information. As far as Russia and Ukraine, if we had a real president, the president that knew, that was respected by Putin, he would have never invaded Ukraine. A lot of people are dead right now, much more than people know. You know, they talk about numbers. You can double those numbers, maybe triple those numbers. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia from going in. I'll tell you what happened. He was so bad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, that when Putin watched that and he saw the incompetence, that he should have fired those generals, like I fired the one that you mentioned. And so he's got no love lost, but he should have fired those generals. No general got fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan, where we left billions of dollars of equipment behind. We lost 13 beautiful soldiers and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said, you know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take this was his dream. I talked to him about it, his dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine, never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded in a million years by Hamas. You know why? Because Iran was broke with me. I wouldn't let anybody do business with them. They ran out of money. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for anything, no money for terror. That's why you had no terror at all during my administration. This place, the whole world is blowing up under him.
President Biden?
I've never heard so much malarkey in my whole life. Look, the fact of the matter is that we're in a situation where, let's take the last point first. Iran attacked American troops, caused brain damage for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it. Recently, not when he was president, they attacked. He said they're just having headaches. That's all it is. He didn't do a thing when the attack took place. Number one. Number 2, we got over 100,000 Americans and others out of Afghanistan during that airlift. Number 3, we found ourselves in a situation where, if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want and do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did to Putin, encourage him, do whatever you want. And he went in. And listen to what he said when he went in. He was going to take Kyiv in 5 days, remember? Because it's part of the old Soviet Union. That's what he wanted to reestablish, Kyiv. And he, in fact, didn't do it at all. He wasn't able to get it done. And they've lost thousands and thousands of troops, 500,000 troops.
President Trump,
I
as
never
come back
said
to you
that.
for 1 minute, I just want to go back to my original question, which is, are Putin's terms acceptable to you? Keeping the
No, they're
territory
not
in Ukraine.
acceptable. No, they're not acceptable. But look, this is a war that never should have started. If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. Every time that Zelensky comes to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest salesman ever. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending on this war, and we shouldn't be spending, it should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled. People being killed so needlessly, so stupidly, and I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
President Biden, you have a minute.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people. And he has made one thing clear. He wants to reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire, not just a piece. He wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think he'll stop there? Do you think he'll stop when if he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think of Belarus? What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, by the way, all that money we give Ukraine are from weapons we make here in the United States. We give them the weapons, not the money at this point. And our NATO allies have produced as much funding for Ukraine as we have. That's why we're strong.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East. In October, Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one, everyone from the United Nations Security Council straight through to the G7 to the Israelis and Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan I put forward, which has 3 stages to it. The first stage is trade the hostages for a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas. Number one, they're the only ones standing out. We're still pushing hard to get them to accept. In the meantime, what's happened in Israel? We're finding that the only thing I've denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. We're providing Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need them. And by the way, I'm the guy that organized the world against Iran when they had a full-blown intercontinental ballistic missile attack on Israel. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it just stopped. We saved Israel. We are the biggest producer of support for Israel of anyone in the world. And so there are 2 different things. Hamas cannot We allow it to be continued. We continue to send our experts and our intelligence people as to how they can get Hamas like we did bin Laden. You don't have to do it. And by the way, they've been greatly weakened, Hamas, greatly weakened, and they should be. They should be eliminated. But you've got to be careful for what using certain weapons among population centers.
Just going back to Ukraine for 1 second. We have an ocean separating us. The European nations together have spent 100 billion or maybe more than that, less than us. Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They wouldn't have any, they were going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of the money was paid by us. He didn't do that. He's getting all, you got to ask these people to put up the money. We're over $100 billion more spent, and it has a bigger impact on them because of location, because we have an ocean in between. You got to ask them. As far as Israel and Hamas, Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one that wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
President Biden, you have a minute.
I've never heard so much foolishness. This is a guy who wants to get out of NATO. Are you going to stay in NATO? He's going to pull out of NATO. The idea that we have, our strength lies in our alliances as well. It may be a big ocean, but we're ever able to avoid a war in Europe, a major war in Europe? What happens if, in fact, you have Putin continue to go into NATO? We have an Article 5 agreement. Attack on one is attack on all. You want to start the nuclear war he keeps talking about, go ahead. Let Putin go in and control Ukraine and then move on to Poland and other places. You see what happens then. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about. And by the way, I got 50 other nations around the world to support Ukraine, including Japan and South Korea, because they understand that this kind of dislocation has a serious threat to the whole world peace. No major war in Europe has ever been able to be contained just to Europe.
President Trump, just to follow up, would you support the creation of an independent Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in the region?
I'd have to see. But before we do that, the problem we have is that we spend all the money. So they kill us on trade. I made great trade deals with the European nations because if you add them up, they're about the same size economically. Their economy is about the same size as the United States. And they were no cars, no, they don't want anything that we have, but we're supposed to take their cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture. I changed that. But the big thing I changed is they don't want to pay. And the only reason that he can play games with NATO is because I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, and he's right about this, I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay. They asked me that question. Would you guard us against Russia at a very secret meeting of the 28 states at that time, nations at that time? And they said, no, if you don't pay, I won't do that. And you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in the next day and the next months. But now we're in the same position. We're paying everybody's bills.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy. Former President Trump, I want to ask you about January 6, 2021. After you rallied your supporters that day, some of them stormed the Capitol to stop the constitutionally mandated counting of electoral votes. As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few. On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All over the world, we were respected. And then he comes in, and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people. What happened to the United States' reputation under this man's leadership is horrible, including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point you'll be talking about, where he goes after his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
You have 80 seconds left. My question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say, but she's saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor of, in writing, by the way, the mayor in writing turned it down, the mayor of D.C. They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see, I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her. And she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
President Biden?
Look, he encouraged those folks to go up on Capitol Hill, number one. I sat in the dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours watching, begging, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop, to end it. Instead, they talked about these people being patriots and great patrons of America. In fact, he says he'll now forgive them for what they've done. They've been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences and say that no. He went to every single court in the nation. I don't know how many cases, scores of cases, including the Supreme Court. And they said, no, this guy is responsible for doing what was done. He did do a damn thing. And these people should be in jail. And they should be the ones who are being held accountable. And he wants to let them all out. And now he says if he loses again, such a whiner that he is, that it could be a bloodbath.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
What they've done to some people that are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you have done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many people. When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down many other cities, you go to Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there with the fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed. When you look at all of they took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard that, they saw them coming, and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so off. Peacefully patriotic. One other thing, the Unselect Committee, which is basically two horrible Republicans that are all gone now out of office, and Democrats, all Democrats, they destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right. And they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail for that. If a Republican did that, they'd go to jail.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now. And the fact of the matter is, what he's telling you is simply not true. The fact is that there was no effort on his part to stop what was going on up in Capitol Hill. And all those people, every one of those who were convicted, deserves to be convicted. The idea that they didn't kill somebody, just went in and broke down doors, broke the windows, occupied offices, turned over desks, turned them over statues. The idea that those people are patriots, come on. When I asked him the first two debates we had, first time around, I said, will you denounce the Proud Boys? He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by. The idea he's refusing, will you denounce these guys?
Today, Junior!
You denounce the people who attacked that Capitol? What are you going to do?
I'm going to give you a minute, President Trump, for a follow-up question I have. After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said if reelected, you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the Select Committee on January 6th going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon at a very high level. His son is convicted, going to be convicted probably numerous other times. Should have been convicted before, but his Justice Department let the statute of limitations lapse on the most important things. But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things. All of the death caused at the border, telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion or you change the prosecutor. Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo. That we're not going to do anything. We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor having to do with the son. This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, I'm coming right to you, sir. You want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute to respond.
The idea that I did anything wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous. It's simply a lie, number one. Number two, the idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong. It's simply wrong. No president's ever spoken like that before. No president in our history has spoken like that before. Number three, the crimes that you are still charged with, and think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant? I mean, what are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
Give you a minute, sir.
I didn't have sex with a porn star, number one. Number two, that was a case that was started and moved. They moved a high-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA's office to start that case. That case is going to be appealed and won. We had a very terrible judge, a horrible judge, Democrat. The prosecutor were all high-ranking Democrats, appointed people, and both the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent because he thought it was going to damage me. But when the public found out about these cases, because they understand it better than he does, he has no idea what these cases are. But when they found out about these cases, you know what they did? My poll numbers went up, way up. You know that because you're reporting it. And we took in more money in the last 2 weeks than we've ever taken in the history of any campaign. I don't think any campaign has ever taken. Hundreds of millions of dollars came pouring in because the public knows it's a scam and it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, quote, Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are determined to destroy American democracy. Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
Incited the erection. About what he's done, yes. The more they know about what he's done. And there's a lot more coming. He's got a lot of cases down the road coming around. He's got a whole range of issues he has to face. I don't know what the juries will do, but I do know he has a real problem. And so the fact that, could you ever think you heard any president say that I'm going to seek retribution? You ever hear any presidents say that I thought Hitler had some good ideas? What got me involved to run in the first place after my son had died, I decided in Iraq, because of Iraq, I said I wasn't going to run again until I saw what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. People coming out of the woods carrying swastikas on torches, and singing the same anti-Semitic bile they sang when back in Germany. And the young woman got killed. I spoke to the mother, and they asked him, they said, what do you think of those people? The ones that got killed, the one who tried to stop it, and the ones he said, I think they're fine people on both sides. What American president would ever say, Nazis coming out of fields, carrying torches, singing the same anti-Semitic bile, carrying swastikas, were fine people? This is a guy who says Hitler's done some good things. I'd like to know what they are. The good things Hitler's done, that's what he said. This guy has no sense of American democracy.
President Trump.
Jake, both of you know that story has been totally wiped out because when you see the sentence, it said 100% exoneration on this. So he just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance. He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency, he's without question the worst president, the worst presidency in the history of our country. We shouldn't be having a debate about it. There's nothing to debate. He made up the Charlottesville story, and you'll see it's debunked all over the place. Every reasonable anchor has debunked it. And just the other day, it came out where it was fully debunked. It's a nonsense story. He knows that. And he didn't run because of Charlottesville. He used that as an excuse to run.
President Biden?
And debunk. It happened. All you have to do is listen to what was said at the time. And the idea that somehow that's the only reason I ran because I was worried a guy like this guy could get elected. If he thought they were good people coming out of that forest, carrying those woods, carrying those torches, then he didn't deserve to be president. Didn't deserve to be president at all. And the idea that he's talking about all this being fabricated, we saw with our own eyes. We saw what happened on January 6th. We saw the people breaking through the windows. We saw people occupying his own vice president. Look, there's a reason why 40 of his 44 top cabinet officers refused to endorse him this time. His vice president hasn't endorsed him this time. So why? Why? They know him well. They serve with him. Why are they not endorsing him?
Thank you, President Biden. We're going to be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate.
Unbelievable.
So good.
Oh my God, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Imagine being a normie and having been shielded from what Biden is like all this time and seeing that shit for the first time.
What's with the chin? What's going on with the chin? What is happening with the chin?
The mumbling. He spent a week, guys, preparing for, he disappeared as president, quote unquote, for a week to prepare for this, and this is what we're getting. This is insanity.
This is the Biden A game, 100%.
Guys, people in the audience, if you are only listening, you are missing half the story.
Yeah.
Watching Biden react is the stuff of legends. Did you see when Donald Trump said, okay, the very fine people hoax is a hoax, and everybody knows it's a hoax? The look on the dude playing Biden's face, just the look of just, what? I know it's true. My mommy told me so in my sleep. It was amazing.
This could not be going any better for Trump, though. He is sharp. He's calm and collected. He's not like getting upset by the total bullshit being thrown his way. And Biden can't get a single thing right. You can't even understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
Chris, you got anything?
I mean, his voice has been terrible the entire time. Biden's has. I mean, his voice is raspy and thin. If he had COVID the last week, not that COVID's a real thing, but if he had it, this is how he would sound. The first answer, he tried to race through all these words that he memorized as fast as possible. It looked like he was reading them. The whole thing is so embarrassing. I'm getting texts from people I haven't heard from in a while telling me how embarrassing this truly is. And I'm like, all you got to do is watch it any point in the last 4 years, and this is what you will see.
My buddy John just texted me. He said his wife, who is a total normie, is watching in horror with her face buried in her hands saying, what?
I'm a little disappointed Trump didn't mention the fact that there's no proof in the world Joe Biden received 81 million real lawful American votes when they were talking about January 6th. I don't know how he doesn't bring that up. I mean, I guess it's a strategy or a plan or whatever, but I don't know, man. You got to tell that to the nation.
You know that question is coming,
this stuff.
That question has got to be coming for the next one. They're like, will you accept the results of the election? And then he'll be like, well, I don't accept the results of the last one. You know that's coming. But no, this is perfect. And you know who also is at fault for this is the mainstream media like CNN, who has not showed you the real Joe Biden, because he's been this way since 2019, 2018.
Yeah.
And if this is your first time seeing him, I feel sorry for you, but also welcome to the party.
I feel like we need that that Joe Scarborough clip, this version of Biden,
The most
intellectually, analytically.
Yes.
Yeah. So we had injecting bleach, we had bloodbath, we had losers and suckers, we had very fine people. Hitler had some good ideas. There is not a debunked hoax that this guy won't draw upon.
But comparing that guy's mental state, I've said it for years now, he's cogent. But I undersold him when I said he was cogent. Far beyond cogent.
We're back with the debate, guys. So
okay.
We'll see you guys in a little bit. Next diaper
and
change.
certainly face again in a second term. President Biden While Black unemployment dropped to a record low under your presidency, Black families still earn far less than white families. Black mothers are still 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes, and Black Americans are imprisoned at 5 times the rate of white Americans. What do you say to Black voters who are disappointed that you haven't made more progress?
They acknowledge they made a lot of progress, number one. The fact of the matter is there's more small Black businesses that have been started than any time in history. Number two, the wages of Black unemployment is the lowest level it's been in a long, long time. Number three, we're trying to provide housing for Black Americans and dealing with the segregation that exists among these corporations that collude to keep people out of their houses. And in addition to that, we find that the impact on the choice that Black families have to make relative to childcare is incredibly difficult. When we did the first major piece of legislation in the past, I was able to reduce Black childcare costs. I cut them in half. We got to make sure we provide for childcare costs. We got to make sure, because when you provide those childcare protections, you increase economic growth because more people can be in the job market. So there's more to be done, considerably more to be done. But we've done a great deal so far, and I'm not letting up, and they know it.
You have 49 seconds left. What do you say to Black voters who are disappointed with the progress so far?
I say I don't blame them for being disappointed. Inflation is still hurting them badly. For example, I provided for the idea that any Black family first-time home buyer should get a $10,000 tax credit to be able to buy their first home so they can get started. I made sure that we're in a situation where all those Black families and those Black individuals who provided had to take out student loans that were ballooning, that if they were engaged in nursing, doctor, and anything having to do with volunteerism, if they paid their bills for 10 years on their student debt, all the rest was forgiven after 10 years. Millions have benefited from that. And we're going to do a whole lot more for Black families.
Thank you, President Trump.
And he caused the inflation. He's blaming inflation, and he's right. It's been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing Black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food where it's doubled and tripled and quadrupled. They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect. It was so good. All he had to do is leave it alone. He destroyed it with his Green New scam and all this money that's being thrown out the window. He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill on the Black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking Black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking Black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Thank you. President Biden?
There was no inflation when I became president. You know why? The economy was flat on its back. 15% unemployment. He decimated the economy, absolutely decimated the economy. That's why there was no inflation at the time. There were no jobs. We provided thousands and millions of jobs for individuals who are in all communities, including minority communities. We made sure that they have health insurance. We have covered, the ACA has increased. I made sure that they're $8,000 per person in a family to get written off for health care. But this guy wants to eliminate that. They tried 50 times. He wants to get rid of the ACA again, and they're going to try again if they win. We find ourselves in a position where the idea that we're not doing any, we put more police on the street than any administration has. He wants to cut the cops. We're providing for equity and making sure people have a shot to make it. There's a lot going on, but in inflation, he caused it by his tremendous malfeasance in the way he handled the pandemic.
Thank you. Another persistent challenge is the climate crisis. 2023 was the hottest year in recorded history, and communities across the country are confronting the devastating effects of extreme heat, intensifying wildfires, stronger hurricanes, and rising sea levels. Former President Trump, you've vowed to end your opponent's climate initiatives, but will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
Let me just go back to what he said about the police, how close the police are to him. Almost every police group in the nation from every state is supporting Donald J. Trump. Almost every police group. And what he's done to the black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. We can't, in the 1990s, we can't forget that. Super predators was his name, and he called it to them for 10, and they've taken great offense at it, and now they see it happening. But when they see what I did for criminal justice reform and for the historically black colleges and universities, where I funded them and got them all funded, and the opportunity zones with Tim, as you know, Tim Scott was incredible. He did a great job. Great senator from South Carolina. He came to me with the idea, and it was a great idea. It's one of the most successful economic development acts ever in the country, opportunity zones. And the biggest beneficiary are blacks. And that's why we have the best numbers with them in maybe ever. They're saying ever. I read this morning where ever, the best numbers. He's lost much of the black population because he's done a horrible job for black people. He's also done a horrible job for Hispanics. But wait till you see these millions of people pouring into our country, and they're going to take the jobs, and it's already started, and you haven't seen anything yet. It's a disaster.
You 38 seconds left, President Trump. Will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
So I want absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely clean air, and we had it. We had H2O. We had the best numbers ever, and we were using all forms of energy, all forms, everything. And yet, during my 4 years, I had the best environmental numbers ever. And my top environmental people gave me that statistic just before I walked on the stage, actually.
I don't know where the hell he's been. The idea that anything he said is true. I've passed the most extensive climate change legislation in history. We find ourselves, and by the way, black colleges, I came up with $15 billion for HBCUs, historic black universities and colleges, because they don't have the kind of contributors that they have to build these laboratories and the like. Any black student is capable in college of doing any white student can do. They just have the money, but now they'll be able to get those jobs in high tech. We're in a situation where the idea that he is claiming to have done something that had the cleanest water. He hadn't done a damn thing for the environment. He pulled out of the Paris Peace Accord, Climate Accord. I immediately joined it because if we reach 1.5 degrees Celsius at any one point, there's no way back. The only existential threat to humanity is climate change. And he didn't do a damn thing about it. He must undo all that I've done.
The Paris Accord was going to cost us $1 trillion, and China nothing, and Russia nothing, and India nothing. It was a ripoff of the United States. And I ended it because I didn't want to waste that money because they treat us horribly. We were the only ones who was costing us money. Nobody else was paying into it. And it was a disaster. But everything that he said just now, I'll give you an example. I heard him say before insulin. I'm the one that got the insulin down for the seniors. I took care of the seniors. What he's doing is destroying all of our medical programs because the migrants coming in, they want everybody. And look, I have the biggest heart on the stage. I guarantee you that. And I want to take care of people. But we're destroying our country. They're taking over our schools, our hospitals, and they're going to be taking over Social Security. He is destroying Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
The idea is that we, in fact, we were the only ones of consequence who were not members of the Paris Accord. How can we do anything? We're not able to, the United States can't get us under control. One of the largest polluters in the world, number one. We're making significant progress. By 2035, we will have cut pollution in half. We have made significant progress, and we're continuing to make progress. We set up a climate corps for thousands of young people to learn how to deal with climate, just like the Peace Corps. And we're moving in directions that are going to significantly change the elements of cause of pollution. But the idea that he claims that he has the biggest heart up here and he's really concerned about pollution and about climate, I've not seen any indication of that. And by the way, with regard to prescription drugs, one company agreed that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for, one, voluntarily. I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way,
So every day, millions of Americans struggle just to make ends meet. For many older Americans, Social Security provides a critical lifeline. President Biden, if nothing is done to Social Security, seniors will see their benefits cut in just over 10 years. Will you name tonight one specific step that you're willing to take to keep Social Security solvent?
yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Right now, everybody making under $170,000 pays 6% of their income, of their paycheck, every single time they get a paycheck from the time of the first one they get when they're 18 years old. The idea that they're going to, I've been proposing that everybody, they pay, the millionaires pay 1%. So no one I would not raise the cost of Social Security for anybody under $400,000. After that, I began to make the wealthy begin to pay their fair share by increasing from 1% beyond to be able to guarantee the program for life.
So you still have 82 seconds left. Are there any other measures that you think that would be able to help keep Social Security solvent, or is that one enough?
Well, no, that one enough will keep it solvent. But the biggest thing I'll do if we defeat this man, because he wants to get rid of Social Security. He thinks there's plenty to cut in Social Security. He's wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare both times. And that's what. And if you look at the program put forward by the House Republican caucus that I believe supports, is in fact want to cut it as well. The idea that we don't need to protect our seniors is ridiculous. And by the way, the American public has greater health care coverage today than ever before. And on the ACA, as I said, you're in a circumstance where 400,000 people, 40 million people would not have insurance because they have a pre-existing condition. Only thing that allows them to have that insurance is the fact that they, in fact, are part of the ACA. And by the way, the other thing is we're in a situation where I talk about education for Black communities. I've raised the amount of money for Pell Grants another $8,000. So anybody making under $70,000 a year is going to be able to get $15,000 toward their tuition. It's just, he just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Clap for that, you stupid bastard. So I've dealt with politicians all my life. I've been on this side of the equation for the last 8 years. I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen it. He can look you in the face. About so many other things too. And we mentioned the laptop. We mentioned Russia, Ukraine. Everything he does is a lie. It's misinformation and disinformation. The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie on the military. It's a disgrace. But Social Security, he's destroying it because millions of people are pouring into our country and they're putting them onto Social Security. They're putting them onto Medicare, Medicaid. They're putting them in our hospitals. They're taking the place of our citizens. What they're doing to the VA, to our veterans, is unbelievable. Our veterans are living in the street, and these people are living in luxury hotels. He doesn't know what he's doing, and it's really coming back. I've never seen such anger in our country before.
President Biden?
The idea that veterans are not being taken care of, I told you before. And by the way, when I said suckers and losers, he acknowledged after that he fired that general. That general got fired because he's the one that acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he said it, number one. Number two, the idea that we're going to be in a situation where all these millions and millions, the way he talks about it, illegal aliens are coming into the country and taking away our jobs. There's a reason why we have the fastest growing economy in the world, the reason why we have the most successful economy in the world. We're doing better than any other nation in the world. And by the way, those 15 Nobel laureats he talked about being phony, those 15 Nobel laureats, economists, they all said that if Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession and inflation is going to increasingly go up. And by the way, worst president in history, 159 presidential scholars voted him the worst president in the history of the United States of America.
President Biden, thank you so much. Let's turn to the cost of childcare, which many American families struggle to afford. President Trump, both you and President Biden have tried to address this issue, But the average cost of childcare in this country has risen to more than $11,000 a year per child. For many families, the cost of childcare for 2 children is more than their rent. In your second term, what would you do to make childcare more affordable?
Just to go back, the general got fired because he was no good. And if he said that, that's why he made it up. But we have 19 people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly respected, much more so than him. The other thing is, he doesn't fire people. He never fired people. I've never seen him fire anybody. I did fire a lot. I fired Comey because he was no good. I fired a lot of the top people at the FBI, drained the swamp. They were no good. Not easy to fire people. You'd pay a price for it, but they were no good. I inherited these people. I didn't put him there. I didn't put Comey there. He was no good. I fired him. This guy hasn't fired anybody. He never fires. He should have fired every military man that was involved with that the Afghanistan horror show, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. He didn't fire. Did you fire anybody? Did you fire anybody that's on the border that's allowed us to have the worst border in the history of the world? Did anybody get fired for allowing 18 million people, many from prisons, many from mental institutions? Did you fire anybody that allowed our country to be destroyed?
I don't think so.
Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He is the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. But look, he's the worst president in the history of our country. He's destroyed our country. Now, all of a sudden, he's trying to get a little tough on the border. He came out with a nothing deal, and it reduced it a little bit, like this much. It's insignificant. He wants open borders. He wants our country to either be destroyed or he wants to pick up those people as voters. And I don't think we just can't let it happen. If he wins this election, our country doesn't have a chance, not even a chance, of coming out of this rut. We probably won't have a country left anymore. That's how bad it is. He is the worst in history by far.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden?
We're the most admired country in the world. We're the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity. We have the finest military in the history of the world, the finest in the history of the world. No one thinks we're weak. No one wants to screw around with us. Nobody, number one. Number two, the idea that we're talking about worst presidents. I wasn't joking. Look it up. Go online. 159 or 58, don't hold me the exact number, presidential historians, they've had meetings and they voted who's the worst president in American history. One through best to worst. They said he was the worst in all of American history. That's a fact. That's not conjecture. He can argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted. The idea that he is doing anything to deal with childcare, he did virtually nothing to childcare. We should significantly increase the childcare tax credit. We should significantly increase the availability of women and men or single parents to be able to go back to work. And we should encourage businesses to have.
Thank you, President Biden.
Facilities.
President Trump, the question was about what would you do to make childcare more affordable, if you want to take your minute.
Just so you understand, we have polling, we have other things that they rate him the worst because what he's done is so bad. And they rate me, I'll show you, I will show you. And they rate me one of the best, okay? And if I'm given another 4 years, I will be the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by 4 times. He wants the Trump tax cuts to expire. So everybody, including the two of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times. Nobody ever heard of this before. All my life, I'd grow up and I'd see politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business. Apple and all these companies, they were bringing money back into our country. The worst president in history by far, and everybody knows it.
President Biden?
Look, the fact of the matter is that he's dead wrong about, he's increased the tariff, he will increase the taxes on middle-class people. I said I'd never raise the tax on anybody making less than $400,000. I didn't. But this tariff is 10% tariffs. Everything coming in the country, you know what the economists say? That's going to cost the average American $2,500 a year more because they're going to have to pay the difference in food and all the things that we're importing. Number two, he's in a situation where he talks about how he has not raised, he somehow helped the middle class. Middle class have been devastated by you. Now you want a new tax cut of $5 trillion over the next 10 years, which is going to fundamentally bankrupt the country. You have the largest deficit of any president in American history, number one. Number two, you have not, in fact, made any contact, any progress with China. We are the lowest trade deficit with China since 2010.
Thank you, President Biden.
You lost.
Thank you, President Biden. Let's discuss an epidemic impacting millions of Americans that both of you have made a top priority in your first term, the opioid crisis. And for both of you, the number of overdose deaths in this country has gone up. Under your term, it went up. Under your term, it has gone up. Former President Trump, despite the efforts that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans are dying from overdoses every year, primarily from fentanyl and other opioids. What will you do to help Americans right now in the throes of addiction who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
To finish up, we now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy. We have the largest deficit with China. He gets paid by China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China. So I think he's afraid to deal with them or something. But do you notice he never took out my tariffs because we bring in so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on China. He never took them away. He can't because it's too much money. It's tremendous. And we saved our steel industries and there was more to come, but he hasn't done that. But he hasn't cut the tariffs because he can't, because it's too much money. But he's got the largest deficit in the history of our country, and he's got the worst situation with China. China's going to own us if you keep allowing them to do what they're doing to us as a country. They are killing us as a country, Joe, and you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
So, President Trump, you have 67 seconds left. The question was, what are you going to do to help Americans in the throes of addiction right now who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
Jake, we were doing very well at addiction until the COVID came along. We had the 2.5, almost 3 years of like nobody's ever had before, any country in every way. And then we had to get tough. And it was the drugs pouring across the border it started to increase. We got great equipment. We bought the certain dog. That's the most incredible thing that you've ever seen, the way they can spot it. We did a lot. And we were getting very low numbers, very, very low numbers. Then he came along. The numbers, have you seen the numbers now? It's not only the 18 million people that I believe is even low because the gotaways, they don't even talk about gotaways. But the numbers of the amount of drugs and human trafficking in women coming across our border, the worst thing I've ever seen, at numbers that nobody's ever seen under him because the border's so bad. But the number of drugs coming across our border now is the largest we've ever had by far.
President Trump, thank you. President Biden?
Fentanyl and the byproducts of fentanyl went down for a while. And I wanted to make sure we use the machinery that can detect fentanyl, these big machines that roll over everything that comes across the border. And it costs a lot of money. That was part of this deal we put together, this bipartisan deal. More fentanyl machines, more be able to detect drugs, more numbers of agents, more numbers of all the people at the border. And when we had that deal done, he called his Republican colleagues, said, don't do it. It's going to hurt me politically. No, he never argued it's not a good bill. It's a really good bill. We need those machines. We need those machines. And we're coming down very hard in every country in Asia in terms of precursors for fentanyl. And Mexico is working with us to make sure they don't have the technology to be able to put it together. That's what we have to do. We need those machines.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, and again, the question is about Americans in the throes of addiction right now, struggling to get the treatment they need.
Well, this does pertain to it. He ended Remain in Mexico. He ended catch and release. I made it catch and release in Mexico, not catch and release here. We had so many things that we had done, hard negotiations with Mexico, and I got it all for nothing. It's just like when you have a hostage, we always pay $6 billion for a hostage. Every time we say a hostage. Now we have a hostage, the Wall Street Journal reporter, I think a good guy, and he's over there because Putin is laughing at this guy, probably asking for billions of dollars for the reporter. I will have him out very quickly as soon as I take office. Before I take office, I said by literally as soon as I win the election, I will have that reporter out. He should have had him out a long time ago, but Putin's probably asking for billions and billions of dollars because this guy pays it every time. We had 2 cases where he paid $6 billion for 5 people. I got 58 people out, and I paid essentially nothing.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
Let's turn to concerns that voters have about each of you. President Biden, you would be 86 at the end of your second term. How do you address concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world well into your 80s?
Well, first of all, I spent half my career being criticized being the youngest person in politics. I was the second youngest person ever elected to the United States Senate, and now I'm the oldest. This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I think that just look at the record. Look at what I've done. Look how I've turned around the horrible situation he left me. As I said, 15 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, over billions of dollars in private investment in enterprises that we are growing. By the way, we brought an awful lot of people. Well, the whole idea of computer chips, we used to have 40% of the market. We invented those chips, and we lost it because he was sending people to find the cheapest jobs overseas and to bring home a product. So I went to South Korea. I convinced Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States. And guess what? Those fabs, they call that to build these chips, those fabs pay over $100,000. You don't need a college degree for them. And there's billions, about $40 billion already being invested and being built right now in the United States, creating significant jobs for Americans from all over the world.
President Biden, you have 40 seconds left. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would. The idea that somehow we are this failing country. I never heard a president talk like this before. We're the envy of the world. Name me a single major country president who wouldn't trade places with the United States of America for all our problems and all our opportunities. We're the most progressive country in the world in getting things done. We're the strongest country in the world. We're a country in the world who keeps our word, and everybody trusts us, all of our allies and those who he coddles up to, from Kim Jong-un, he sends love letters to, and Putin, etc. They don't want to screw around with us.
Thank you. Former President Trump, to follow up, you would be 82 at the end of your second term. What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them, as you know. We made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year. And, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But I was willing to take a cognitive test. And you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced him. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy when he was White House doctor. And then I took another one, a similar one. And one of them said they've never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you. President Biden?
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, anyway, just take a look at what he says he is and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. But by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie. He's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8.
Never.
But I had, how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Okay,
let's not act like children.
President Trump, we're going to turn
Let's not act like children.
to a specific concern that voters have about you. Will you pledge tonight that once all legal challenges have been exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins, and you will say right now that political violence in any form is unacceptable?
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, And also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say is one of the strongest statements you've ever seen. In addition to the speech I made in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to. And I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol and in many cases were ushered in by the police. And as Nancy Pelosi said, it was her responsibility, not mine. She said that loud and clear. But the answer is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody. And I'll tell you something. I wish he was a great president because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. But the only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a seriously failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad. His military policies are insane. They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are very, very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of these, Putin, they don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
You want a World War III, let him follow and win and let Putin say, do what you want, NATO. Just do what you want. There's a thing called Article 5. An attack on one is attack on all, a required response. The idea, I can't think of a single major leader in the world who wouldn't trade places with the job I've done and what they've done. Because we are a powerful nation. We have wonderful people. It's because of the people, not me. It's because of the American people. They're capable of anything, and they step up when they're needed. And right now, we're needed. We're needed to protect the world because our own safety is at stake. And again, you want to have a war, just let Putin go ahead and take Kyiv, make sure they move on, see what happens in Poland, Hungary, and other places along that border. Then you have a war.
President Trump, as I come back to you for a follow-up, the question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Just to finish what he said, if I might, Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it. He's not going to play games with me. He knew that. I got along with him very well, but he knew not to play games. He took nothing from me. But now he's going to take the whole thing from this man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine. And, you know, you asked me a question before, would you do this? He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia because Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people. They're running out of soldiers. They've lost so many people. It's so sad. They've lost so many people, and they've lost those gorgeous cities with the golden domes that are 1,000 years old, all because of him and stupid decisions. Russia would have never attacked if I were
President
president.
Trump, the question was, will you accept the results of the election, regardless of who wins? Yes or no, please.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week. But I will absolutely, there's nothing I'd rather do. It would be much easier for me to do that than I'm running again. I wasn't really going to run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's destroying our country. I would be very happy to be someplace else in a nice location someplace. And again, no indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level because the people understand it.
Well, let's see what your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see. You're a whiner. When you lost the first time, you continued, you appealed and appealed to courts all across the country. Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local, none. But you continue to provoke this lie about somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There is no evidence of that at all. And I tell you what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea, if you lose again, you accepting anything, you can't stand the loss. Something snapped in you when you lost the last time.
We'll be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate, live from Georgia.
So
And
Biden,
this is incredible. As the first time, I gotta mute the stream over here. Okay.
He just seems petty. He seems mean-spirited. It's obvious that he's frustrated and he just can't keep it together. I mean, I'm loving everything that we're seeing here.
Yeah, real quick too, by the way, not only is Epic Minerals and their new product Rainfall one of the sponsors of tonight's show, we also got Loaded Gun Coffee in the house. So make sure you guys are supporting our sponsors, are the ones that keep us going. I can't believe Trump got Biden to talk about his golf handicap for a solid 30 seconds to a minute. That was incredible.
It was amazing.
So I had several people text me a fact check about this golf thing. There's no way Biden can hit a golf ball more than 50 feet. Balance is key balance is fundamental to being able to hit a golf ball. Also, diapers bind the release of the hips in a basic golf swing. So the other thing about the golf challenge is it sounded like Biden accepted, and I think we need to insist this happens.
Oh, for sure. Incredible, though. What else do you guys think? I did note that they asked the question about the election results, and the response from Trump that we got was what I expected to. If it's fair, which we know the last one wasn't, but that was it was perfect. And he tried to almost avoid it at the beginning, but they forced it on him.
I mean, he's done this on a number of occasions. Like, they will ask him for a cheap shot question, and he completely just goes beyond it. He's like, guess what? This is what I want to talk about. I'm going to respond to the bullshit that he just tried to accuse me of, and he'll go down a completely different track. And then eventually, they'll get him cornered and he'll go ahead and say something, but he's not playing into the sort of narrative that they're trying to craft here.
Chris, what are your thoughts so far?
I mean, more of the same. I cannot believe Biden's facial expressions. There was one of those questions there right before the break. He looked like he was absolutely overflowing with hatred.
Yes.
And it was absolutely hilarious in my mind. I also want to note, it was great when Donald Trump said, Commander-in-Chief, if that's even what you can call him, in the first half there.
Yeah, it doesn't have to go in. Trump posted his hole-in-one to his Truth Social account.
I love that he's posting while he's on stage. So great.
I mean, that's not him, but it's probably skipping.
Yeah.
But it's perfect.
How about the Border Patrol thing?
Oh, yes. Pull that up. That's so good.
Are you talking about this?
Yeah, where they said, to be clear, we have never and never will endorse Joe Biden.
Did he actually claim their endorsement?
Yes.
What a maniac. Impressive.
I think he said they endorsed his plan, but it came off as an endorsement. And then Trump said they endorsed me for president, and Biden did that blank stare thing. And then they posted that, which is glorious.
He was probably also making a distinction between border groups and stuff. They tried to blame Trump for the failure to pass the border piece of Mike Johnson's package. And that's never going to work because Trump is fully identified with the wall and the travel ban. And
we're back.
Yeah, go ahead.
From the debacle that was left by President Trump in his last term, we find ourselves in a situation where, number one, we have to make sure that we have a fair tax system. I ask anyone out there in the audience or anyone out watching this debate, do you think the tax system is fair? The fact is that I said nobody even making under $400,000 had a single penny increase in their taxes and will not. And if I'm reelected, that'll be the case again. But this guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit. Number one, he's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States of America. What I did when, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got it down to $35 for insulin instead of $400. No more than $2,000 for every senior, no matter how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion over 10 years because the government doesn't have to pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make that available to every senior all along, where it's happening now, and everybody in America. He wants to get rid of that. I'm going to make sure that we have childcare. We're going to significantly increase the credits people have for childcare. I'm going to make sure we do something about what we're doing on lead pipes and all the things that are causing health problems for people across the country. We're going to continue to fight to bring down inflation and give people a break.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, you now have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Like so many politicians, this man is just a complainer. He said, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. All he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business with the United States. They all passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror, no money whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all the stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you, because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. All of the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like, even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get when you're terminally ill. Now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible. Choice for our soldiers, where our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're in a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great again.
Thank you, former President Trump, President Biden. Stay with us because we have full analysis of this debate. Anderson Cooper and Aaron Burnett starts now on CNN.
All right. We will not make you suffer through the.
My God, could you imagine listening to their analysis?
We probably will listen to some of it.
That.
We should probably actually see what they're saying.
I'm interested to know what they say. Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Everybody's muted right now. There's no audio coming through.
That sounds good to me. I don't want to listen to CNN's after analysis. It's going to be so terrible.
This version of Biden,
President
intellectually
making their way off the CNN debate stage. Looks like Jill Biden, the first lady, has come out. Former President Trump walking off the stage. The first debate of the 2024 campaign and the earliest presidential debate ever, now in the books and in front of the voters. Tonight, along with Aaron Burnett, the first word on what those voters might make of it from our political professionals, from our CNN Flash poll and swing state focus group. We'll be talking to surrogates, including Vice President Harris, getting fact checks from our Daniel Dale, and new reporting from inside both campaigns. With me here, CNN political commentator Scott Jennings, Kate Bedingfield, David Urban, Van Jones, Alyssa Farr Griffin, and Newsnight anchor Abby Phillip, and David Axelrod, and CNN chief national correspondent.
Real quick, guys, if you're watching over on YouTube, I am going to be ending that stream here soon and deleting it from the history book so that we don't get in trouble. You can find us on Rumble. That feed is now up, and Twitter. We are going to be joined. We have like 6 or 7 other Badlands hosts that are going to be joining us here soon. So just stay tuned.
elected officials. It involves fundraisers. And they're having conversations about the president's performance, which they think was dismal, which they think will hurt other people down the party in the ticket. And they're having conversations about what they should do about it. Some of those conversations include, should we go to the White House and ask the president to step aside? Others
Amazing.
Other of the conversations are about, should prominent Democrats go public with that goal? Because they feel this debate was so terrible. They do say in moments in the debate later, the president got better and got his footing. But then at the end, even his closing statement was a little halting. The contrast between the two candidates. Let me be clear. None of them, and a lot of Republicans, don't think Donald Trump had a great night. Donald Trump broke the fact-check machine more than I can count tonight. That will be on the record as we go forward. He refused to answer some very specific and direct questions about his conduct, about January 6th and what all. So that will be dealt with out there. And sometimes there's a parallel universe between the political elites and the American people. It'd be nice to see what the voters say.
Very serious face from Anderson Cooper.
It started with the first couple of answers, and it has continued throughout the night from a, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, to what do we do about this? And it involves very senior people in the Democratic Party, including elected officials, saying we have a problem.
And just to co-sign what John is saying, I mean, the panic that I am hearing from Democrats is not like anything that I have heard in this campaign so far. And a lot of it has to do with, first of all, there was a deep frustration about Trump's lies. I mean, he lied a lot tonight. But the problem for Biden was that Trump was able to take sometimes incredible falsehoods and turn them into some kind of argument, whereas Biden's answers were, in a lot of cases, not coherent, deeply problematic, that he was not able to take pretty straightforward answers and answer them to the American public. And then also at some points, bringing things up that teed up Trump attacks. So there's a real concern here tonight that there's been some real damage done that cannot be undone. Biden solidified the perception among voters, but especially among his base. They were hoping that tonight would be a game changer. They are now seeing a president who is in the White House, who they do not necessarily believe can do this for another 4 years.
David Axelrod?
Look, I can't argue with either of them about how Democratic leaders are reacting to this poll. We said at the beginning that each person had a fundamental goal. And for Biden, that goal was to appear energetic, engaged, and look like someone who is capable of serving for another 4 years for president. That was job number one. I actually think he scored a bunch of points. I think if you just judge this on sort of policy stuff, he did score a bunch of points on issues like abortion, for example, on some of the economic issues. But there is a feeling, I think there was a sense of shock, actually, at how he came out at the beginning of this debate, how his voice sounded. He seemed a little disoriented. He did get stronger as the debate went on, but by that time, I think the panic had set in. And I think you're going to hear discussions that I don't know will lead to anything, but there are going to be discussion about whether he should continue. And I think part of it is Donald Trump did not meet his mission either. He could not resist the temptation to be nasty, to prevaricate about a whole bunch of things, about his own record, about Biden's record, and to seem petty and small at times. So what you saw was a candidate who's deeply vulnerable and a president who may not be able to take advantage of it.
So we can pause this and we can keep listening here in a little bit. But I just want to remind people, I got to play this clip. Got to play the full clip again because this is so perfect.
But comparing that guy's mental state, I've said it for years now, he's cogent. But I undersold him when I said he was cogent. He's far beyond cogent. In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been. Intellectually, analytically, because he's been around for 50 years. And, I don't know if people know this or not, Biden used to be a hothead. Sometimes that Irishman would get in front of the reasoning. Sometimes he would say things he didn't want to say. This is, and I don't really, I don't really care. Start your tape right now because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever.
Let's go.
Brzezinski's have known him for 50 years. If it weren't the truth, I wouldn't say it.
I mean, this debate single-handedly destroyed Biden's candidacy. Any chance he had. I mean, he was never going to win anyway. He didn't win the first time, but also the media, just because of bullshit like this. And now they realize it, and we're watching them on CNN be like, what the fuck do we do now?
Yes. Real-time disaster planning.
Guys,
Patrick, you're muted. So I have no idea. Patrick, you're muted.
Am I really?
Oh,
you're like, no.
Now you're good.
I'm blown away. The people on the panel, that was the most interesting part. Stupid CNN panel, where all of these people all of a sudden come out and say, hey, I didn't know he was like all fucked up like that.
Brian, thank you for joining us, sir.
First time seeing of it. And so, and I'm shocked that Biden wears Depends and stares off into the distance. I'm blown away that they can pretend that. Maybe they were real. I mean, David Axelrod, the biggest soulless political hack who has ever lived, could not, with a straight face, defend Biden's performance tonight.
Brian, or Chris, go ahead, and then we'll give Brian a shot.
One of the things that they're attempting to do here is make sure that everybody knows that neither Biden nor Trump should be president. They're happy with people wanting to say that Biden should be replaced, even if they can't replace him, because they're just going to keep rolling out these polls that show it to be a contest between Trump and Biden. They'll make it seem like Trump is just slightly ahead. And then when we get to election time, they're going to be totally fine to allow that Trump win, as long as they can steal seats for uniparty candidates all the way down the ballot at the state and local levels as well. And they are more than happy to accept that bargain. Give us 4 more years of Trump as a treat. We'll shut up. We won't challenge their elections or their election fraud apparatus, and they'll have a uniparty in there. They will tell people that the American people wanted to vote for divided government. This is what they are setting up. And every time we cheer for them to insult Biden while they continue to insult Trump, the message that we are hearing and celebrating is not the message that other people are hearing. They're hearing, okay, well, Biden's, he's expired, but Trump is still really bad. So what we need to do is just replace Biden with someone better. And if we can't do that, then we're just going to have to vote for Biden because Trump still really is this bad. This is where they're going.
I find it, I mean, I understand what you're saying and I believe you, but I find it difficult for even just basic minded people to look at what happened on stage there and take that as like valid arguments. I mean, like, I don't think Trump did a bad job. I thought that he did a phenomenal job. I mean, and especially in comparison to Joe Biden standing right next to him. And it was honest, obviously, that he was the statesman. And you can take a look at the record. You can go back, let's take a look at how our lives were before. Let's take a look at how they are now. What's going to give us a better outcome? Clearly, that would be Trump. But I mean, obviously, they're going to trash Trump in any way that they can, but they really feel like they don't want to insult Biden. Like, I mean, it was painful for them to say he was almost non-coherent. Like, my God, I did not expect them to go that hard. Now, I can totally see this being a setup for the replacement. Right, for somebody else to come in. All right. I mean, obviously, at this point, it seems like everybody's like, oh, my God, there's no way we can actually continue on with this. Like, this is going to be the end of the Democrat Party. Go ahead, John.
Brian, do you want to give us your thoughts on the debate, man? And then we'll get to Ghost.
Dude, I'm pretty smashed right now. I had Joe Biden saying the idea that as my drinking. No, I'm just kidding. But that, I mean, every single time the man spoke, he's just, did nobody tell him before the debate, like, hey, Joe, they're probably going to do split screen. So when Trump is speaking, you have to close your mouth and look like you're drooling all over yourself. I mean, just there was one point where I think he shit himself. You can see him leaning around like this, and the camera's following him, so it doesn't look that bad. But if you look at the letters in the background, you can see him moving around. This was absolutely awful. There is 100% a change of batter coming. There's no way that they can run this man. By the way, did you catch all of Trump's little dog whistles in there?
Like what?
He had one about the election. Let's do a press conference on it next week, or let's what's that?
I disavow dog whistles.
Oh, well, you can disavow them. But he said that that one. Then when he was talking about the border, he said, he was saying all the people coming across, and there's going to be something so much bigger coming real soon. And just a lot of little
I need to
subtle.
look back at that. Yeah.
Ghost, what are your thoughts, man? Nice to see you.
Good to see y'all. That was amazing. It kind of caught me by surprise because I was expecting to get the cocaine fueled Adderall out version of Biden, and then we got the rope-a-dope rundown, the one that we were expecting in appearances past. We got this time.
Yes.
I also kind of feel like Trump showed us the strategy moving forward from here on out, which is rather than try to engage with these people and earnest debate and try to one up them, I think the strategy is just to irritate them and make them angry and make them lash out and make them completely unlikable. Because I think that's really what Biden achieved tonight.
Chris, I want to go back to what you said. The point about we shouldn't be celebrating them talking bad about Biden because they're also talking bad about Trump. And I totally agree with that. But also, they have done nothing but bash Trump for the past 3.5 years or longer. This is the first time that their audiences, if they have any audience at all, is hearing them bash Biden too. But here's the thing, they're saying that all these Democrat, operatives or whatever are saying we need to replace Biden. The people knew who Biden was before this. This isn't the first time that these people in the Democrat Party have found out that Biden is not, cogent or whatever. They've known the whole time, and they've run with him the whole time. They could have replaced him months ago as a candidate, even years ago, but they haven't. And I think there is a reason for that. I don't think we're going to see a change of batter, no matter how much the media wants it or the Democratic Party. I do believe we're stuck with Biden.
I'll put money on that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you about that. The problem is that they're just going to continue telling people that both of them are very bad. Yeah. And then, they're going to try to create separation between the presidential campaign and what they're doing down ballot for everyone else. I mean, that's ultimately the point as far as I'm concerned. This is all an info op. We have to remember to analyze it that way. And so what are we being communicated, and what is CNN's audience having communicated to them? And as far as I'm concerned, the reaction here is just catharsis. They are all collectively letting Joe Biden go. Now, I'm not saying he's actually going to be gone, but they are being given permission to no longer defend Joe Biden and agree that, yes, he is too old. And if they're able to replace him over the next 2 months, fine, that impression might turn around, and then they'll have to figure out a reason why Big Mike or Gavin or Hillary Clinton or someone else is appropriate. But at the end of the day, if it comes down to Biden or Trump, they're going to pretend that this is some close election and we're a 50-50 country. They're trying to preserve that image. They showed a poll. I'm sorry to filibuster. They showed a poll on Fox the other day where it said only 60% of the Republican Party was behind Donald Trump as a candidate. Now, that is patently false. Joe Biden was at 42%. So it looks like this is really good for Trump, but that's not really good for Trump. That's really bad.
So I saw another poll today that was 88% of Republicans. I mean, it's obvious, whoever the messenger is, you know that the numbers they are giving you are not correct. As far as them, trying to disparage Trump, I mean, I agree with you, John. I feel like the world is desensitized to it now. We've heard it over and over and over again. We've been hearing it for the last, 9-10 years at this point. And so now to hear them doing the same thing to Joe Biden, I feel like that truly is a revelation. And I also think that it doesn't matter how much bad stuff they say about Donald Trump. I mean, we can also look at what the performance of members of Congress have been as well. And people are, in my opinion, starting to reject them in the exact same way. Now, does that mean that we're going to successfully take back the entire government? I can only hope. But, I also know that it's all fake and gay. And so all I can do is continue to move forward and take heart in the in my faith that the majority of Americans truly are behind Donald Trump. I mean, I look at so many different polls on a daily basis, and I've only noticed one thing in common between all of them, and that's support for Donald Trump is increasing, like on an almost measurable daily basis.
The combination of the CNN panel turning on Biden like that, including David Axelrod, who made open reference to the growing sense of panic among Democrat consultants and politicians. And that fact alone gives normal people permission to say, okay, Trump is clearly an option now. I don't see how there's a downside to this night for Donald Trump in any way.
Yeah. We could listen to a little bit more of the commentary, maybe just get all of their initial takes.
Can I just say one thing before we hit play on it? So CNN said, and Chris, to your point of they're both really bad. It was, well, President Trump lied a whole bunch. He lied a lot. He broke the fact check machine. They didn't give a single specific example.
No,
it's just this. Oh, well, President Trump lied and Biden was abysmal, panic, so terrible, like step aside. It's not coherent at one point, they said. But that I want to have faith that the American people can see that you're not being given concrete examples of, oh, he broke the fact check machine. Okay, give me 3. Right?
Yeah.
Like give me some specifics.
I mean, how many did you have for Biden? I mean, because there was at least 5, that I could count right there, just very quickly in a cursory fashion. I feel like that was so much more obvious. And the fact that they were like, oh, Donald Trump broke the fact check. Well, we've had recently left-wing news organizations coming out and proving Biden is a total liar. I mean, so he just made himself look ridiculous tonight.
Yep. Let's watch a little bit more here. And by the way, guys, we have I left YouTube up. Between YouTube and Twitter, we have 37,000 watching. So thank you guys so much. Make sure you keep sharing that stream. Then over on Rumble, we have about 17,500 or so. And make sure you guys hit that thumbs up.
Good
As
grief.
always, we greatly appreciate it.
Yes, very much so. That's awesome, guys. Thank you so much.
If anybody in America thinks that was even close to being an okay debate by Joe Biden, I'm living in a parallel universe. That was an unmitigated disaster for President Biden from the second he walked out to the closing statement. The biggest issue for Democrats is abortion, and he couldn't give an answer. He gave an answer, he couldn't even give a coherent answer on the biggest issue for Democrats tonight. I've heard from leading Democrats across the United States, elected governors, congressmen, who are texting me and saying, I'm worried I'm going to lose if Joe Biden's at the top of the ticket. Bob Casey, I promise you tonight, in the state of Pennsylvania, is thrown up in his mouth because he knows if he's got to stand next to Joe Biden, he's going down in Pennsylvania. If he's on the ticket, I don't know how it's going to work.
Why is abortion the Democrats' #1 issue, by the way?
Because
it's the only one they're
The most emotional.
It's the only one their base is glued to.
And
because it doesn't affect most of them.
It's
My
the
body, my
easiest way to eat
choice.
babies too, right?
And not all at once.
Well, it doesn't affect most of them. Everything else, the economy, everything else affects us. Abortion doesn't affect every single person. In fact, it affects a very small number of people, even in the Democrat circles. And so that's something that they can constantly drive down your throat because most people are like, oh yeah, the abortion thing's cool. Let me jump on that bandwagon. It's a kitchen table topic.
Yeah.
I think you're missing it. I think it's the most emotional topic that they have. It gets into individual sovereignty, and their women are rabid about it.
Yeah, but that's because they have no not I don't want to say allegiance, but no empathy with it. They only have what they're told to feel about it, and that's why they feel that way. Most women have never had an abortion, and it's not going to change. Everybody is going to buy groceries.
Really disappointing debate performance from Joe Biden. I don't think there's any other way to slice it. His biggest issue that he had to prove to the American people was that he had the energy, had the stamina, and he didn't do that. And so I think that is of concern. And I think for a lot of Democrats, that's very disappointing. I will say Donald Trump also had some really rough moments in this debate. And talking to the Biden campaign, they say their dials started really moving away from Trump as he was increasing his personal attacks on Biden. So I think there was a lot about his kind of character and the kind of personal nastiness that he was putting on display, that doesn't help him with the swing voters that he needs. And I also think you saw him continue to get sort of more and more animated across the course of the debate and, give some really problematic answers about January 6th, some really problematic answers about Putin. So, Donald Trump did not get off scot-free tonight by any stretch. But look, there is no two ways about it. That was not a good debate for Joe Biden.
Ben?
That was painful. I love Joe Biden. I work for Joe Biden. He didn't do well at all. He did not do well at all. And he looked, I'll give you the analysis, kind of have the old man versus the con man. I can walk you through how I'm supposed to see it and say it, but I just want to speak from my heart. I love that guy. That's a good man. He loves his country. He's doing the best that he can. But he had a test to meet tonight to restore confidence of the country and of the base, and he failed to do that. And I think there's a lot of people who are going to want to see him consider taking a different course now. We're still far from our convention, and there is time for this party to figure out a different way forward if he will allow us to do that. But that was not what we needed from Joe Biden, and it's personally painful for a lot of people. It's not just panic, it's pain of what we saw tonight.
And if I may just add to that, I think Joe Biden lost in the first 3 minutes. I think a lot of voters probably tuned out, and millions of people are having conversations with their families, with their friends, of if the president is up to the task and if he should step aside. And I'm someone who believes the former president is a threat to democracy. I think he is a threat to the America as we know it. He wants to fundamentally change our institutions. He has laid out what his plan is. I am not confident that that is the man to take him on. You cannot tell me democracy is on the line and then give that performance tonight. If based on that, in 18 weeks, Donald Trump will be the president-elect.
The people doing focus groups tonight.
Okay, I don't need the back and forth.
You did the best you could, champ. That's what you tell your kid when he loses at hockey. All right, Joe Biden going out there, and he did not do the best that he could. I mean, because his best is such a low bar. Van Jones right there, like almost shedding a tear. That was gorgeous. Absolutely
Van Jones
beautiful.
cries a lot.
But it's quite the opposite, Zach. That was the best that he will ever be. Like he will never in another minute of his life be more prepared for something than he was for that. 7 days of rest, mixing a chemical concoction for the last 7 days, whatever the hell, his parameters on every single facet of that debate. And that was the absolute best. There is not a moment Joe Biden is not going to get better. That's not how time works.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people saw that tonight and they're like, dude, Ukraine, Russia, Israel, Hamas, this guy's got the nuclear football. This guy can barely finish a thought without saying the idea that drink.
They should really try screaming into their pillow. I've heard that really helps.
Do we think he's competent to stand trial?
No.
But, in all seriousness, no. Do you think we'll see the audio tape from his interview with her at some point? Maybe now they'll actually get it out because they're trying to sabotage him.
Tomorrow morning, we'll find out.
Won't that be amazing?
I don't know, man. Like, this is just, of all the reactions I was expecting, I did not expect to see this harsh of criticism from the mainstream media. Kyle on Twitter had posted a few things, some of the headlines, and you're right, Chris, again, where it's like Biden stumbles, but Trump lies through debate, but they don't give any examples of what he actually did to lie.
They don't need to give examples. All that matters is the narrative manipulation. They will take their lumps on Biden. This is catharsis. Everybody knows that Joe Biden didn't receive 81 million real lawful American votes. Everybody knows that Joe Biden is corrupt. Everybody knows that Joe Biden is a pervert. Everybody knows that Joe Biden's kids are terrible. They say the opposite thing because all they care about is power. These are not honest or principled people. It doesn't matter. All they need is a narrative that the public will generally accept about why the election had the result that they create, because the elections aren't real.
Jeez.
Patrick, do you want to give a shout out to our sponsors one more time real quick?
Absolutely. Guys, go to badlandsmedia.tv/rainfall, the aloe-based miracle that we have just released. Aloe and food-grade plant oils plus a little bit of benzoin, and it is amazing stuff. So check it out at badlandsmedia.tv/rainfall, and then badlandsmedia.tv/loaded. Get your Loaded Gun coffee. In both cases, make sure to use promo code Badlands.
And one quick thing I want to share with you guys before we continue discussing here. You probably have a lot of people in your lives that are like just now maybe texting you for the first time in a long time, kind of just waking up, or they're on the cusp now. If they're not fully red-pilled after this debate, they are ready to be red-pilled. You guys send these people over to badlandsmedia.tv. Okay. Also, like, follow us there, but send them this Time of Deceit documentary. Send that over to them. Maybe post on Twitter, hashtag Time of Deceit, whatever. Let's get it trending. Now is the perfect time to share that thing around, because you can go even further into the lies and debunking all this stuff that they've been saying about Trump for the last however many years. Perfect time to do it. But yeah, what else do you guys want to talk about? I mean, I'm almost in shock.
So what was weird to me was kind of in the middle when they went back and forth with, well, there's these Nobel, I think he meant to say Nobel laureates, but he said Nobel lawyers, who say that you're the worst president. And then it's like, no, this group says that you're the worst president. It's like, we're supposed to trust the experts now on who's a bad president. That's where we've gotten to with outsourcing our critical thinking. That whole exchange was really strange to me. I don't know if you guys picked up on it.
Trump should have said, were they the same? Were those 16 Nobel laureates, the 51 former intel officers, same people there?
No.
So Trump, I said this earlier today that I thought that the microphone being off was going to benefit Trump, and it did immensely. Yeah. I thought the microphone being off tonight for the moderates and the normies that are out there watching that saw a different Trump than what they saw in the previous debates. And I watched the other debate, the 2020 first debate. I watched it this morning or this afternoon. I thought that was really good that he did that. Trump only got really, really pushy with Joe at one point, and that's when Joe started talking shit about his golf game.
That was
that was epic, man. I want to see Joe, and Joe challenged him to a driving contest. So I want to see that happen. I want to see Joe Biden and Donald Trump in a driving contest. But
Joe Biden can't raise his hands above his head.
No. And last thing, when you guys do get these phone calls from people that are calling like, man, you might have been right. You got to remember, don't just hammer Joe Biden when you're talking to them. You know, you have to hammer the policy. You have to hammer the situation we're in, the way the economy is, because if you just hammer Joe Biden and they do the, the little switch right here and put somebody else in, you lost them again. It's like a fish. You got the line too tight, and all of a sudden the pole just snaps when you were about to land that fish. So don't forget, don't just turn it into a Biden bashing thing.
Why not just the hardest thing is just not to hammer them for coming around after all, having this much to have them come around. It's pretty ridiculous. So I kind of go after them. Like, you're just now noticing that this guy is clearly unfit to hold any job.
Ask questions.
Bless the president. Yeah.
Ask questions. Be Socratic. Let them think rather than hammer it. Because I've done this enough times and screwed it up enough times to know how not to do it. If you hammer them with information, you overwhelm them, and then they just turn off. So ask questions. Let them kind of gestate and give their answers, and that's the best way to red pill.
It's also the best time to get these people to stop watching mainstream news, because the mainstream news is what told them for the last 4 years that, like I said before, this guy is cogent. It's not true. He never has been. So hammer the mainstream media. Get them thinking of why they're even watching that stuff in the first place, because they shouldn't be.
By the way, on the election thing at the end there, where Trump said, let's have a news conference next week, I do think it's also noteworthy that Liz Harrington put out a 47,000 word document today about how Georgia was stolen. You know, if you've been watching Why We Vote and everything else, you guys probably know a lot of this, but that was huge, man. You guys read that? Chris, you look like you've read it.
I skimmed through it. It's basically stuff that we saw in that release that they did a few months back. But I think the key, I'm glad you brought that up, Brian. I think the key there is that, when the Fani Willis indictment was announced last August, Trump immediately responded that they were going to have a press conference where they laid out the case for Georgia election fraud. And so there is clearly a move to be made here at some point, Brian. I absolutely agree with that. I think that it's probably another false start that it's going to happen next week ultimately, but it's in the pocket, you know, like all this information is there. It's a matter of when you deploy it, and there's no need right now. I mean, this thing is imploding, and the longer they have to hold on to Joe Biden, and it may be another couple of months while the view degrades continuously, it's probably going to be to the end. But yeah, man, they've got that. That's a weapon in the back pocket.
How difficult is it in reality, though, to replace a candidate this late in the game? I mean, we've been told that they're going to hold a Zoom call, which that makes that interesting, too. They're going to be doing a Zoom call in the next couple of weeks to get Biden in there earlier. Otherwise, they're not going to have a candidate on the Ohio ballot. And so they don't have a lot of time here to figure this out, if it's even possible at this stage.
I mean, Ohio is the litmus. I mean, once they nominate him in Ohio, then, I mean, as far as I'm aware, they're going to have to carry it through to the end. So, I mean, yeah.
But why? They don't even hold real elections. Why would they have to follow their own party's bylaws?
Well, yeah, I suppose you're right. You know, I mean, they don't follow bylaws all the time, and things go in a number of different directions. But I mean, I suppose if things were equal and they were doing it the way they're supposed to, then that would be it. So, I mean, this could go up until the very week before the election, and Joe Biden falls down some stairs, and whoever he chose as his VP, if it's Kamala or if she's, I don't know, going to run for the governorship in California, and it's a swap out for Gavin, who knows?
Patrick, can you do me the honors and read this?
I certainly can. Oh my God, is this that Harry Sisson guy?
I love this guy.
Oh,
let's do this thing. Biden won the debate easily. He laid out a vision, a goal, a future that Americans can get behind. Trump was angry, conspiratorial, and deluded. This debate told us nothing new. It just further proved that Biden is the right choice.
I got one more for you. This is why he had a rough night, though.
Biden had a cold tonight, and thus his voice was raspy. But people think him having a cold is a reason to vote for Trump, the convicted felon, the proven sexual abuser, the proven fraudster. If we elect Trump and forget him trying to destroy America, then shame on us.
Scroll down.
Insane.
I want to see that meme.
There's a few good ones. I thought this was funny. This is Harry Sisson watching the debate tonight.
Oh, no.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but it's insane. He just proved he's a paid operative, because there's no way anybody could be that stupid.
I mean, was that in contention? I thought that was already admitted.
No, it wasn't. But
back to whether the whole replacement discussion. I think it's important to recognize that there is a divide in the narrative on the left. The Politico and Newsweek, we've been covering this in the brief, that the media and pundits have been talking about why aren't we replacing him for a long time. Certainly in the past 2 weeks, it's been a primary narrative of, people are wigging out, but the inner circle knows he's the right choice. The inner circle senior advisors are very, very confident that Biden is the right choice. So I think it'll be pretty interesting to see if the inner circle is still very confident.
Let's see what Joy Reid has to
Oh,
say.
what's her reaction? This is great.
I too was on the phone throughout much of the debate with Obama world people, with Democrats, with people who are political operatives, with campaign operatives. My phone really never stopped buzzing throughout. And the universal reaction was somewhere approaching panic. The people who were texting with me were very concerned about President Biden seeming extremely feeble, seeming extremely weak. I too was on the
Wait, what about that little guy next to her?
I'll look for that one next.
Okay.
Who is that young lad?
The universal consensus, though, I'm looking around, is that he is going to be replaced or needs to be replaced. And that should be very encouraging, because I don't think he will be. Or if he is, it will be probably some time from now. It's not going to be tomorrow. So yeah, the panic's going to continue until then.
Real quick, has anybody thought about the fact that since the beginning of this info war, when it got hot, like 2017, I don't think we've ever seen two silos right next to each other and have the barrier between those two silos shattered simultaneously, and two sides converged in a united opinion of this dude that we have seen as manifestly senile. Now it's converging, and everybody on both sides sees that he's senile. I mean, when was that ever going to happen? I've never seen a convergence like that before.
I think this is Matt out here. Oh, try this again.
Patrick, I would say they've lost their plausible deniability on covering for him, which is funny because that's gone whether or not they end up stuck with him.
Oh, yeah. They're in a failure cascade.
Walking out on stage. This is at a watch party in Atlanta. You might have noticed at the very, very end of the debate, as soon as the moderators said goodnight, boom, we lost the shot. And so we didn't get to see President Biden's wife, the First Lady, or anybody else walking out on stage. We didn't get to see what the candidates did after. They have now left the venue and have gone to this watch party event, President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden speaking to the room.
Oh, you're safe now. You're safe now, Joe.
They lost the feed because like he shit himself or something.
Rachel Maddow looks like she drank a cup of piss.
Oh my
Is that
God.
how long he's gonna live?
They should put on CNN.
When they said that thing about 10 years for Medicare, I was like, dude's not concerned about that. He ain't gonna be here in 10 months.
That's what I heard he says.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate it. You've been here the whole time. I see it. I see that from the Pats here. Look, folks, you know, I shouldn't say this, but my brother always uses lines from movies. There was a famous movie by John Wayne, and he's working for the Northern military.
Guys, this is like minutes ago after the debate. Just so to clarify, he went to a watch party immediately afterwards.
Trying to get the Apaches back in the reservation. They were lying like hell to them. They're all sitting on a bluff. And John Wayne was sitting with two Indian, they were Apaches. And one of them looked at John Wayne and said, "These guys are nothing but lying, dog-faced pony soldiers."
He's playing the greatest hits.
What was that?
He's playing the greatest hits.
Yeah.
And speaking of the greatest hits, by the way, I don't know if you guys mentioned this before, but Biden did the burn pits with Bo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He did.
Except he's just a liar.
Oh, also knew they're going to bring up the Charleston thing. Speaking
Yep.
of greatest hits, which again is perfect. Got debunked by Snopes officially just this week.
How's that happen?
Look, folks, what's going to happen over the next couple of days is they're going to be out there fact checking all the things he said. I can't think of one thing he said that was true. No, I'm not being facetious. But look, we're going to beat this guy. We need to beat this guy. And I need you in order to beat him. You're the people I'm running for.
Go out there and ballot harvest.
Here.
Okay.
He says he's going to.
What's up?
I think they switched him for another Biden after they lost that feed.
He says he's going to be the retribution for his supporters. You are the reason why America's as good as we are. We're the finest nation in the whole damn world. And nobody's close. So let's keep going. See you at the next one. God love you all. Heading to North Carolina. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to go home with you. Thank you.
What?
President Biden, this is a live shot in Atlanta tonight. This is at a watch party in
He's
Atlanta.
getting lost again.
Handing the microphone back to
Oh man, I can't believe that.
Yes.
That's unfortunate.
The next debate is until September, I don't think.
They won't beat him.
No,
They
was
are
supposed
not
be one
going
at
to
the end
debate
of
again.
July.
No, he won't debate again. There's no
They're
way.
going to debate again. They're going to debate again. Don't you even play. They have to debate again. I want 10 of these.
It's a movie, baby.
So do I, but
Okay, here we might have an actual Rachel Maddow commentary.
This has just been I mean, you heard his voice and his energy there and his cadence there, a world away from what you just heard on the debate stage. Yeah. That Joe Biden would have killed in that debate. The Joe Biden that we saw on the debate stage was 90% more soft-spoken than that, and in a monotone when you could discern him. I will say President Biden, my opinion, very much seemed to warm up through the 90 minutes of the debate and clearly beyond where we saw him right there. He was vintage Joe Biden.
this is like
What a
watching
low
your
bar.
favorite baseball team and then saying they really sucked in the game, but they celebrated great in the locker room. This is craziness right there.
I mean, it's almost like she said that that's a different Biden.
Yeah,
That
she literally just gave me that conspiracy theory.
Yes,
she told the story of we lost the feed right after the thing was over, and we couldn't see what he did right after. But here he is again, which plants the seed, saying they must have switched him out, which is exactly how she is acting.
Well, it makes me think about the way this debate got scheduled. This debate was never supposed to happen. This was like an extra debate that we got at the last minute. And I just can't help but wonder if Trump was the one who proposed, hey, let's put a mute button on our podiums. Because to CanCon's point, that was the best thing that could have possibly happened for Trump, is just let Biden speak the whole time and let the country see what Biden actually is.
And Biden was the only one interrupting, by the way.
Yes,
Biden
exactly.
tried several times to interrupt.
I did notice one instance where I think it was Tapper. He was going to move on, but then Biden was trying to say something, and so Tapper was like, "Okay, I'll give you another minute." And I didn't see them do that with Trump at all.
He did that the whole night.
Did he really?
Trump would get his 1 minute, like it would go Trump, Biden, and then Trump would get one more minute for a rebuttal. Almost every single time they went back to Biden, but every time Trump asked, they'd be like, "No," and then they'd ask him a question. He'd be like, "Well, I guess I got to go back to that first."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did that the whole night to him.
Yeah, he was much more cohesive in his commentary.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see. I think we have Abs and Brian. You want to text Alpha?
Yes,
if he wants to come on. And I'm gonna have to step out for a little bit, but you guys can keep the thing going.
I have to say, I think in terms of debates that we've seen, that the moderators were pretty fair.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
Surprisingly so.
This format, I mean, there's no way you can have a debate when Joe Biden is one of the people involved in it. But this was surprisingly even-handed and very clear in the format. I mean, you do this with two people who have their own thoughts, and you could potentially have an interesting conversation.
Has anyone checked to see what the response from all the concern fags was after the debate? Everybody who all day was like, Trump's walking into a trap. This is a big mistake. I can't believe he's going to debate Biden. I was like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, who's paying you to say that?
These people don't know anything.
Yeah.
This is why they cut off the feed right away. Check this out.
President Trump walking off the stage.
Oh, wow.
I'm just going to mute it. But watch him try to get down the step.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
This is
oh, my
elder
God.
respect. Oh, wow.
That's like my grandpa after he had 7 strokes. God rest his soul.
Well, Biden's had 2.
Yeah.
The tone of Rachel Maddow just now was like she sounded angry, like she had just been played. Like she was like, we all just got played. Like that was the sense that I got from her. She was like pissed that she feel like she had been rug pulled.
That's always the question too. Is like, how genuine are they being? Like, do they actually believe anything that they say, or are they simply just playing a role? I mean, and a number of these people tonight, it seemed like they were like, "Oh my God, like what have we done?"
There was a lot of that vibe. Oh my God, what have we done? Yes. It's melodramatic. Like it came out of a writer's room, honestly.
Yes.
Yeah. I think they were waiting for this type of a performance so that they could drop these very specific hot takes and say, now we can finally admit to you that everything we've been saying for the last 8 years was completely wrong.
I mean, Ben just kind of said that. He's like, I know what I'm supposed to say, but I'm going to speak from the heart. And that was atrocious.
Yeah.
Who was actually saying Trump was walking into a trap? Like, there were actually people saying that?
I saw people Well, didn't you get a text from Brian this morning?
I don't think I did.
Yes. So anyways, Brian posted about it, and I looked and I went and searched for it, and I saw quite a few people mentioning that. And I had people in my chat for the last week or so saying, Trump's walking into a trap. He shouldn't do this. And I was like, there is only good that can come from the visual comparison of these guys side by side.
Well, so you can walk into an ambush, but the people that are doing the ambushing have to be capable individuals, and Joe Biden's not a capable individual. Donald Trump knew that he was walking into an ambush. He didn't lay out any demands. He accepted every single one of their demands, took the mic idea, like I said, made it a beautiful thing. He walked into a trap knowing he was walking into a trap and said, bring it on, bitches.
Yeah. Well, I think he was pretty sure Joe Biden was going to fall on his own grenade. MTG said it, I guess. Yeah, she did. I remember seeing that on War Room.
I'm trying to see here. Some people are talking about this, the Ohio ballot access issue. So that's good. They're going to have to switch them out soon. But yeah, I'm just scrolling Twitter. I mean, the reaction right now is just pretty insane. Everybody's kind of dunking on the left, and the left is just like, we're screwed.
They're taking it. They're getting dunked on and saying, yeah, you're right. Since when does that ever happen?
Yeah, it's a good thing.
It's a weird thing. I don't know whether to take it as good or bad.
Guys,
I don't see it. Oh, sorry.
I'll be right
John.
back. Okay, you guys go with it.
Okay.
It's definitely a cathartic thing, but I'm wondering, what does it mean? Why the narrative shift from our enemies?
Well, I just want to respond to the whole it was an ambush, it was a trap thing. I get the thinking about that before it happened, but I don't think we saw an ambush.
No, not at all.
If I'm more with Ghost, it appears that this was set up to really put the candidates on display for people.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, my ultimate reasoning is, I don't understand how anybody could second guess Trump at this point. I mean, after the entirety of this operation, we're in the 11th hour right now. Trump wants to go into this debate. Okay. He wants to submit to all of these rules that were meant to ostensibly help Biden, but ended up hurting him at the end. I have no qualms about making or allowing Trump to do what he thinks is necessary in every instance. I mean, I'm perfectly comfortable with it.
I mean, you can say that it put the candidates on full display, but that 100% was a trap.
I mean, I think it was a trap for Biden.
No, it was a trap for Trump.
Like
they thought it was going to be a trap. They thought they were going to get at least if they got 10% more of what they got out of Biden tonight, they would have said Biden won.
So here's the thing.
Just that bad.
They thought that they could trap Trump.
Exactly.
Trump
That's what I'm
saw
saying.
a trap, and so therefore it wasn't a trap because he had the foresight. Okay, he 4D chessed the trap itself, so it wasn't really a trap, is what I'm saying.
Did we watch the same debate? That was a trap for Biden.
Yes.
The CNN crew, every last one of them, all of a sudden said, okay, I'm going to be even-handed this time. In other words, the old creep is losing our support in the whole putting the thumb on the scale aspect that they have been doing since the very beginning. I mean, hell, since the very beginning of the info war, as I remember it, in the beginning of 2017, it was all war all the time from these people, and always being willing to lie without any boundaries in order to defend Democrats. All of a sudden, that policy has broken down. They ambushed Biden.
I agree. Yeah. And think about all of the people out there who have been watching those mainstream media outlets this entire time, just buying into whatever they've been spoon-fed, just like a bowl of hot steaming dog shit over and over again. Hey, it's ice cream. Continue to eat it. Okay. And then finally tonight, as they're eating it, those pundits are saying, actually, that's dog shit. You better put that spoon down.
It's always important to remember when you're dealing with people like this that they don't actually know anything. They're not these people who are these television characters do not get off TV and then immediately go start doing deep research to find out what's true.
No.
They don't do that.
No.
They get phone calls from CIA agents to tell them what to say and how to think about things. And they'll ask questions and then they'll be given answers that will keep them running down the same trails. They don't know anything and they are just saying the things they are told to say. There's no reason to believe that any of them, outside of maybe a character like Rachel Maddow or something, even thinks about these issues when they're not on air. Sean Hannity is not like going online first thing in the morning to figure out what happened in some historical event and how that has anything to do with what's happening now. These people have producers who write the entire show.
Yes.
Then they read the entire show.
Yep.
Bongino said it. Bongino said that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up, Paul?
Howdy, friends. How you guys doing?
Good.
Dude, that was glorious. That was like watching a 40-car pileup at the Daytona 500, and then Donald Trump passes everybody on the outside with his middle finger out the driver window. That was glorious. That was a glorious train wreck.
Beautiful.
It's just amazing seeing the breaking of the silo. And I don't know what it's going to lead to. I think one might argue that if they can't get rid of Biden at this point, because that was a controlled nuke from orbit, pardon the metaphor, but they just put Biden in the firing squad and just reduced him to pink mist right in front of us. And they did it without a single bit of compunction. It was amazing. They were just like, all right, time to take him down. And that's what they did. The entire CNN panel and even Rachel Maddow is basically looking completely insane at this point for defending him.
Yeah.
I don't know how, I don't know why that happened. I know that the CIA controls what I just watched. So what the hell is going on here? They have to be trying to replace him. And if they can't replace him, it's a devolution proof.
I can't believe you made a nuke metaphor.
I know. Nuke metaphor from orbit, and I'm a flat earther.
That's how ridiculous Biden's performance was tonight, folks. Patrick just made that. I'm a little mind blown over here. Biden was so bad tonight. Yeah, he made a globe reference. That's how bad Biden was.
Yeah, that was so they brought up the Snopes, and I think we were talking about this earlier, Ash, when we read that article, and they put that little editor's note in there. Remember that editor's note? Like, oh yeah, he didn't actually say find people on both sides, but that doesn't mean it wasn't attended all by white supremacists and put together by them. And that's the angle that Joe took in saying that find people on both sides. He said it was attended by white supremacists and neo-Nazis and all this other stuff. That was the one little, kind of leash that Snopes gave Joe when they published that article last week. He brought up the bloodbath. Trump didn't even go after that, by the way. Trump just dusted that off. He's like, the media's already. Jake Tapper's debunked that one. They went after the suckers and losers, which, by the way, they went after the World War I gravesite, which was a Secret Service call, not a Trump call, not to go there. And he went to a nearby gravesite on D-Day, not on D-Day, on Memorial Day. Yeah, man, Joe Biden was on point tonight, bringing up
injecting bleach too. You missed injecting.
Oh, that was
bleach.
so
That was
early
in there,
too.
And injecting bleach. Yep.
Has anybody checked to see if Hillary Clinton has made a public comment?
I looked. I did not see anything.
Good
Chris,
grief.
what were you about to say?
Oh, I don't remember.
Well, capitalizing on what y'all were saying about the CIA and the State Department, I was finishing my brief takes for Burning Bright during the debate, and two stories that are really notable. One is it's universally being reported by CNN, by Russian media, everyone, that the authorities in America are fully aware that ISIS is now smuggling in. They have like a whole network. They have a whole assembly line smuggling in their people into the United States, which means that's the CIA's, the State Department's proxy mercenary group. We also have Lavrov, Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, gave an interview. Well, I'm sorry, Pepe Escobar gave an interview to Judge Napolitano on Tuesday, where he explained 2 months ago, him and a few other journalists had dinner with Sergei Lavrov, and Lavrov explained to them straight up, it's never been like this before in like modern history, where even at the height of the Cold War, the Russians could pick up the phone and get somebody at the White House on the line and talk to them and have like a coherent, respectful conversation. He says now anything they say, whether it's in private conversation or out in public, is immediately dismissed as propaganda by everyone in the West, not just America, but NATO, Europe, everyone. And he says these people are completely deranged. They're insane. They've lost their minds. That's where we are.
Yeah, we are governed by people who are insane. You look at the people and you look in their eyes. The people you see on these TV screens clearly possess deep-seated mental illness.
The Hillary Clinton has not posted, but I think it's important that we look at the Twitter trends because they're hilarious.
Oh my God.
Pull them up.
Doing it now.
Did you guys see the tweet earlier from Boomer Esiason?
No.
Boomer is a former NFL quarterback and has been one of the studio men for the NFL like halftime and pregame shows for 20 years. And he said something to the effect of, "So are we getting invaded tomorrow?"
Wow. I believe our trends. Thank you to Ash in America, whom I follow on Twitter.
Obliterated.
Oh my God! What the fuck?
I just love that. What the fuck? CNN is the top.
For those of you just listening, trends for you on Twitter. What the fuck? CNN 19,000 posts trending in news. Resign 151,000 posts trending in politics, and obliterated 5808 posts trending. So there's that.
Oh.
Wow.
See what they're saying for those.
Did you guys see CNN admitted to giving Biden the questions ahead of time?
What? What?
No
What?
way.
No way.
And that was his he had the questions and that was his performance.
Well, I mean,
and a week at Camp David.
Just listen to what she says here.
He goes through 6 days of preparation at Camp David.
More than that.
And they know the
It was
rules.
more than a week.
Okay, so more than a week. They know the rules. He practices with the mics. He knows every one of these questions is coming. And yet he couldn't fill the time. Now, I just want to, let's see what the White House is saying. Sources close to the White House are saying he had a cold, wasn't feeling well. I mean, as you would expect, that came out early on in the debate. But what accounts for someone with so much experience doing so much preparation and this being the outcome?
Honestly, I think the question answers itself. He wasn't capable of doing any better than he did.
He goes to.
I mean, that's on CNN's network where she said, I mean, it's obvious too. We all knew they were going to give him the questions anyway, but they said it.
Think about the degree to which they're sticking the knife in him after the fact. If you had tried to help somebody cheat and then he turned in that performance, if you were not trying to destroy him, then you would keep that fact that you had given the questions to him in advance to yourself. Instead, they wait for him to turn in the worst performance possible and then say, oh, and by the way, this shithead had the questions in advance. This is a controlled demolition of Biden.
I don't actually agree that she just said they gave him the questions in advance.
Oh, I wasn't listening carefully.
He knew what
He
was
said-
coming.
Yeah. Everybody knew what questions were coming. That's not a secret at all.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Well,
all good.
I mean, that's probably the proper way to interpret it.
Your point is correct.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time the Democrats gave questions to the candidate. So
dementia is trending for me.
I want to get Kamala's take here.
Listen, first of all, what we saw tonight is the president making a very clear contrast with Donald Trump on all of the issues that matter to the American people.
Mhm.
Yes, there was a slow start, but it was a strong finish. And
That's what she
became
said.
very clear through the course of the night is that Joe Biden is fighting on behalf of the American people on substance, on policy, on performance. Joe Biden is extraordinarily strong. And
But I'm sorry,
that
on
cannot
substance
be
and
debated.
policy and performance tonight, I mean, the president's performance tonight clearly was disappointing for his supporters.
Listen,
it's an.
Did it really stop right there?
Yeah.
Did it really stop? Oh my God, we needed to hear her continue talking.
I'll find more.
I want to hear what she says after Cooper says that. Yeah, go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
Trump has a statement. We should probably go through that.
Okay, 1 second.
Is it on Truth Social?
Okay, while you guys are looking that up, can I just quickly ask Ghost of Base Patrick Henry, did you hear Joe Biden say that we are the biggest producer of support for Israel?
I missed that, but that is amazing. Talk about your Freudian slips.
Are we still live on X? Because if so, I just want to say I'm a big supporter of the state of Israel. Okay. I just want to get that out of the way. I don't want our stream to get taken down. All right. No anti-Semites
It's a very
here.
strange way to phrase that you support Israel.
The Jews.
Biggest producer of support for Israel. The very interesting words.
Patrick, going to read this for us, man?
What does it mean when you're
matter of fact, I
scared to say things?
I don't know what that is. Here we go. Trump campaign statement on President Trump's historic debate victory. Tonight, President Trump delivered the greatest debate performance and victory in history to the largest voter audience in history, making clear exactly how he will improve the lives of every American. Over and over, President Trump highlighted common sense plans to reduce inflation, bringing down the costs of groceries, housing, and gas, as well as his plans to bring back his successful first-term policies that kept our southern border secure and free from the wave of Biden migrant crimes currently sweeping our country. Joe Biden, on the other hand, showed exactly why he deserves to be fired. Despite taking a week-long vacation at Camp David to prepare for the debate, Biden was unable to defend his disastrous record on the economy and the border. Throughout the debate, Biden lied, invented stories, and could not articulate a single plan to make things less expensive and keep our people safe, choosing instead to change the subject and dwell on the past. Even worse, Biden couldn't explain why he took a week of vacation at Camp David while 50 ISIS terrorists ran loose in our country. President Trump is spot on when he says that if Joe Biden is too incompetent to stand trial, then Biden is too incompetent to be president. Americans are struggling financially. The families of Laken Riley, Rachel Morin, Jocelyn Nungare, and every other victim of Biden migrant crime are grieving. Our country is on fire at home, and we stand on the brink of World War III because of Joe Biden's incompetence. But we can turn it all around and bring back the American dream, starting on day one by re-electing President Donald J. Trump.
There we go. I did find the entire commentary here from Kamala.
The first debate of the 2024 presidential campaign is now history. The fallout from it is just getting started. Joining us now is President Kamala with us. CNN's John King has described a panic inside the Democratic Party right now because of President Biden's performance in tonight's debate. He's been hearing from Democratic lawmakers and others around the country. Some within your own party are wondering if President Biden should even step aside. What do you say to that?
Listen, first of all, what we saw tonight is the president making a very clear contrast with Donald Trump on all of the issues that matter to the American people. Yes, there was a slow start, but it was a strong finish. And what became very clear through the course of the night is that Joe Biden is fighting on behalf of the American people on substance, on policy, on performance. Joe Biden is extraordinarily strong. And
I'm sorry,
that
on
cannot
substance
be
and
debated.
policy and performance tonight, I mean, the president's performance tonight clearly was disappointing for his supporters. CNN is reporting Democratic lawmakers watching the debate were worried about the president's performance. One said it was a disaster. Another called it a train wreck. Those are Democrats, especially worried that Biden did not punch back on Trump's lies.
Listen, people can debate on style points, but ultimately this election and who is the president of the United States has to be about substance. And the contrast is clear. Look at what happened during the course of the debate. Donald Trump lied over and over and over again, as he is wont to do. He would not disavow what happened on January 6th. He would not give a clear answer on whether he would stand by the election results this November. He went back and forth about where he stands on one of the most critical issues of freedom in America, which is the right of a woman to make decisions about their own body. He has been completely ambiguous and all over the place about where he stands on that issue, despite the fact that he hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And that's exactly what they did. And just 3 years ago, we commemorated the 2-year anniversary of Dobbs, wherein women across our country have been denied emergency health care, have
All that may be
suffered
true. All
miscarriages
that
to
may
the
be
point that
true. But the president of the
these
United
facts are
States
very
was not
important.
able to make that case to Donald Trump on the stage tonight. I mean, you debated against then Vice President Vice President Biden 4 years ago, and he was a very different person on the stage 4 years ago when you debated him. You must, I mean, that's certainly true, is it not?
Anderson, the point has to be performance in terms of what a president does. A
Right,
president who
but that is
incites
what's
an
scary for
insurrection
people
against the
watching this.
Capitol. No, but I got the point that you're making about a 1.5 hour debate tonight. I'm talking about 3.5 years of performance in work that has been historic.
But
Whether
is
it
that
be
the man
infrastructure,
who we
the
saw
former
on the
guy, the
stage
other
tonight?
guy,
Is that the
the other
person
guy
you
on
see
the
in
debate
meetings every day?
stage, the person that you saw on the debate stage that has for the last 3.5 years up until today performed in a way that has been about, whether it be in the Oval Office, negotiating bipartisan deals so that we have an infrastructure, a real infrastructure plan where we're putting trillions of dollars on the streets of America to upgrade our infrastructure. Whether it be the person I see in the Oval Office who is meeting with heads of the military and the intelligence community and in the Situation Room, ensuring the safety of America. The person I see in Joe Biden on the world stage, convening world leaders who often ask for his advice, most recently just during the G7 conference. So I'm not going to spend all night with you talking about the last 90 minutes when I've been watching the last 3.5 years of performance.
Why else are you there?
But this was a debate that your campaign wanted. You pushed for this debate at this moment. Obviously, I mean, you can't honestly say, I mean, can you say that you are not concerned at all having watched the president's performance tonight?
Oh my
It was
goodness.
a slow start. That's obvious to everyone. I'm not going to debate that point. I'm talking about the choice in November. I'm talking about one of the most important elections in our collective lifetime. And do we want to look at what November will bring and go on a course for America that is about a destruction of democracy, electing a man who has said he'll be a dictator on day one? Or do we want to continue on a course that's about strengthening America's economy, building and creating 15 million American jobs, over 800,000 manufacturing jobs? I got that this is the afterplay for the debate, this conversation that I'm in. And I understand why everyone wants to talk about it. But I think it's also important to recognize that the choice in November between these two people that were on the debate stage involves extraordinary stakes. And there's one person on that stage who has the endorsement of their vice president, and that's Joe Biden. Mike Pence is nowhere to be found in supporting Donald Trump, and that's why he has to look for. That's why he has to look for someone else to run with him, who, as we know, will embolden and rubber stamp whatever he wants, because they're going to have to make a choice to not be Mike Pence and to put Donald Trump over their country.
Neither person on that stage tonight made the argument as coherently as you just did. You mentioned reproductive rights. I'd like to just play that exchange that we saw tonight.
Under Roe v. Wade, you have.
I'm almost starting to wonder if this isn't even as much about replacing Biden as it is the mainstream media trying to rebuild their credibility, like in an instant, because you can't cover for him with this. They have no choice but to actually approach this critically. And I'm more concerned about that than I am about anything else. Like, I don't want anybody to be watching CNN and being like, oh man, these guys, they're actually being hard. This is what real journalism looks like.
I don't see that happening. I mean, the trust in the mainstream media is at an all-time low, and them suddenly dropping the mask over something that is so painfully obvious that a dead dog can understand what the hell is going on. I don't see this as turning the tables for the mainstream media.
Maybe not.
They've been covering for 3 years. Yeah.
To someone who watched this debate tonight and has serious concerns about the president of the United States, what do you say to them about what they just saw?
They saw they witnessed the fact that if Donald Trump were elected to be president of the United States this November, he will sign a national abortion ban. Take him at his word. He said he would
Fucking
when he
lie.
was president before. He said if it came to his desk, he'd sign it. There's no reason to believe anything would change. A national abortion ban means that folks in New York, California, Maryland, all these other states that have protected the right of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do will be at risk. That's what you should take away from that discussion.
And just
Joe
finally, I know
Biden was
we
very clear.
I
He
know we have to
will
go.
sign back into law the protections of Roe v. Wade.
The person we
These are
saw
big
tonight, the
issues,
president we saw
substantive
tonight on that
issues.
stage, is that how he is every day?
The Joe Biden that I work with every day is someone who, as I have said, has performed in a way that has been about bringing people into the Oval Office, Republicans and Democrats, to compromise in a way that is extraordinary these days because it just doesn't happen, but Joe Biden can make it happen. The Joe Biden I see is someone who goes to our allies around the world and strengthens NATO to the point
Please
that there
ask.
are
Yeah,
two
but is
new
he
members
coherent?
of NATO who just about 4 years ago, people said, is NATO even have a reason for existing? The Joe Biden I know is someone who has delivered 800,000 new manufacturing jobs and bringing manufacturing back to the United States, not shipping jobs out like Donald Trump did. So that's the Joe Biden I know.
Vice President Kamala.
Chris, you want to give that a go?
Yeah. So the abortion thing, you know, if they are content to if they are accepting that Donald Trump is definitely going to beat Joe Biden in a real election, and all that means is that he would win a battle of narratives, there's no narrative that would convince the country that Joe Biden could have actually won. And they're going to keep their election fraud apparatus in place, steal those down ballot races. What they will also need to do is have narratives like abortion that they can nationalize and use as a justification for why people would come out and vote against Donald Trump, against Republicans for the other in the other races. And at the same time, they're able to support high turnout numbers for down ballot abortion ballot measures. That is going to be a real thing that they are going to try to do. They are going to do the same thing they did in Kansas and Ohio, as Donald Trump mentioned. Obviously, those decisions were far more liberal than people might have expected. That's like a wink, wink, hint, hint. Those elections were just as stolen as the other rigged elections we see. They can steal ballot measures. That's not even difficult. And so they're creating these justifications to explain the results that they already plan on yielding. It is important at all times to remember that these elections are fake.
I think it's interesting. Did she say that Joe Biden is going to sign like an order to overturn Roe v. Wade or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
No,
well, why
he
doesn't
would
he do
sign
that?
Legislation. If they put legislation on his desk, which they never will, they'd have to have a supermajority. Either side would have to have a supermajority in the Senate to avoid a filibuster on abortion.
Okay.
Way too much money flows into DC on abortion.
Okay, well, then I misunderstood that part. But where did this lie that Trump is going to impose a federal abortion ban come from? Because he did not do that the first time around.
It's
Lindsey
made up.
Graham.
Yeah.
Lindsey Graham put that out there. This was meant to be the issue to justify the lack of a red wave in the fake election midterms in 2022. Lindsey Graham did that. Con Inc. has pushed it. Con Inc. has continued to push it. And I would guarantee, although I haven't seen it because I'm not on Twitter, I would guarantee that the DeSantards are out there tonight talking about how Donald Trump wasn't strong enough on abortion because he supported the mifepristone decision, which was a decision on standing.
Let's check in on Jenna Ellis.
Oh, geez.
Oh, God.
She hasn't blocked you yet?
She's
Not
blocked.
yet.
Hey, Patrick, we got to make a clip for you of AOC at that Bronx debate doing the thing with the hair. Like,
I
have
haven't
you
seen
seen
it.
that yet, Patrick? She like
No, I
throws
have
over
to.
and she like does like the when the wife gets home and like, you know, wants to look all sexy and she does the plays with her hair. Yeah, I was thinking, when I saw that, I got to clip that for Patrick.
Yeah, sounds hot. Gotta admit.
I'm not seeing much on well, I guess here. This
Well,
is
I
a
mean,
pretty
she
bad
is
one.
under indictment, so maybe she's gotten quiet lately.
Key takeaway from tonight: bring back DeSantis versus Newsom.
Holy
crap.
cringy.
And it's worth keeping in mind that that is still very much on the table for standard issue villagers on the uniparty right. These morons think that Donald Trump is going to get sentenced to prison and that they will be able to replace him at the convention. The idea that they don't still want that is crazy to me. Now, I don't think any of these things are going to happen, by the way, just to be very, very clear. But
this might be interesting. We have CNN's fact check.
Oh, no.
Deep breath. He said some Democratic states allow
This guy.
to execute babies after birth, an egregious lie that is illegal in every state. He said everybody that's wanted Roe v. Wade overturned. Roe was supported by 2/3 of Americans, even more Democrats. He said.
You guys have any comments on that?
yes, California almost passed a bill to allow for perinatal abortions like 3 or 4 years ago. This is something that has been pushed in Democrat-run states for a long time. Abortion is an industry. They need aborted fetal tissue as an input into other products. I mean, the idea that this is even an issue at this point is insane, and it's only because of the media's presentation.
So, yeah, they're playing semantics because they're saying that Donald Trump is saying that currently you can abort a baby after birth. But, I mean, this is what has been talked about, but they haven't actually done it.
Every legal scholar wanted Roe overturned, abortion returned to the states. Legal scholars had told me directly this is not true. He said the U.S. currently has the biggest budget deficit ever. You know, that happened under Trump in 2020. He said the U.S. currently has a record trade deficit with China. That also happened under Trump.
I can't imagine either of those are true.
I also think that for anybody to start citing legal experts that you don't even name at this point is just insulting our intelligence.
People in the know.
Yeah, people in the know.
In 2018, he said Biden personally gets a lot of money from China. Zero evidence of this.
Well, that's retarded.
He said there were no terror attacks during his presidency. In fact, there were multiple attacks. He said Iran didn't fund Hamas, Hezbollah, other terror groups under his presidency. Iran, in fact, did. He said Biden wants to quadruple people's taxes. That is pure fiction. He said the U.S. has provided way more aid to Ukraine than Europe had. It's actually the opposite. He said the U.S. has provided about $200 billion in Ukraine aid. It's closer to $110 billion. He said 18 or 19 million people have crossed the border under Biden. That is millions too high. He said many of these migrants are from prisons or mental institutions. His own campaign cannot corroborate this. He said Biden has only created jobs for illegal immigrants. Total nonsense. He said Nancy Pelosi turned down his offer of 10,000 National Guard troops on January 6th. There's no evidence she even got such an offer. It was the president, not...
Hold on.
Yeah.
Stephen, allow you guys to comment on some of this.
So the illegals, it was actually about twice that. And to be fair, it's roughly 75% of jobs that have gone to illegals. And then what was the other one?
Ukraine aid. I mean, we're literally funding Ukraine.
Yeah,
every week.
We're paying their pensions.
Yeah,
yeah.
Everybody is going to look at this fact check right here and go fact check the fact checkers on this and be like, "Oh, okay, Trump embellished a little bit, but yeah, Joe Biden does want to raise our taxes."
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I can't think of a single person I know that will go and fact check any of this stuff. So this makes me think of Chris's point, like what you were saying earlier about them just trying to accuse Trump of lying.
Yeah,
and keep it close enough to steal from later.
There's no sourcing with this. It's just some dude telling you stuff.
Yeah.
Steve Sun testified under oath, that Paul Irving turned down the 10,000 guard troops over optics.
Anybody got anything else? Let's keep going.
We literally had a video of Nancy Pelosi admitting all of this. The guy said there's no evidence. I'm over here like there's literally a video of her in an SUV admitting it.
Yeah. I mean, not to mention testimony.
Yeah.
John, just to give a quick note on what you just said, you got to keep in mind that most Biden voters, supporters who are still going down that road and still doing that probably tuned out from this and turned it off about 10 minutes in. And they just figure, I'll watch the coverage tomorrow. I can't watch this. This makes me feel weird. I'm just going to go to bed. I'm going to watch the coverage tomorrow. They're all going to be told that Trump was lying the whole time. And yes, Biden was tired. They're going to have their little catharsis and they will just go on as though this never happened.
Don't you also remember Donald Trump prophesying right before the Biden inauguration, like a real prophecy saying, yeah, Biden, 25th Amendment's going to come back to haunt you, bitch.
Good call.
Peace out.
Yep.
No, I
Something's
might
coming.
have that video in here.
Something's coming, guys. And I don't know exactly what it is, but they're going to try to replace him. That's my prediction. They're going to try hard.
I was sent Cenk Uyghur or whatever his name is, his reaction. Somebody sent it to me in a DM. I haven't watched it. Does anybody want to watch that?
I think so.
He looks like he's in tears. He looks like he's in tears.
He's broken. Going to be farming some tears right now.
Post in the chat while you're. Oh, there you go. Share screen.
Chunk Uyghur.
The split screen is killing Biden. Yep. Because he's got his mouth open. He looks confused, doesn't know where he is. He's lost his train of thought at least twice in like disastrous shape. Those are going to be played 1 billion times in viral video after viral video.
Yep.
This is an epic disaster. I see people online saying, well, okay, that answer wasn't so bad. No, it doesn't. Any particular answer doesn't matter at all. This thing is over. He looks like he's barely surviving. I don't mean the debate, I mean life. And so there's no person that has a single brain cell left in their head who thinks that Joe Biden is the best candidate to take on Donald Trump. You would have to be even crazier than Donald Trump to think that. This thing is over. I'll guarantee you this. I would bet show me a Democratic politician and I will bet them any amount of money that Joe Biden's going to lose this election if he's the candidate. It's a guaranteed loss. You're telling me this is the most important election of our lifetimes? You're telling me that democracy's on the line and you're going to put on a guy who can't even talk, who can't even sit there and look normal. This thing's a bloodbath. He's going to get annihilated. That is okay. Now the Democrats have to decide. Are they happy to lose? Are they willing to lose? Because this is a guaranteed loss.
This is so much worse than my worst nightmares of what it could be like. The visual stuff is obvious. The staring off, the looking down, it looks terrible. His voice is so utterly weak and feeble. And honestly, like that immediately hits you when you see him, but what he says and what he doesn't say on the most important core issues of the election are even worse. Trump won on abortion in the debate. Trump comes out of the January 6th stuff looking fine. He comes out of the criminal conviction stuff looking fine. Joe Biden looks worse on democracy after that. He looks worse on criminality after that.
It's almost too perfect because they're not going to replace him, and they're not going to be able to steal for him.
Why are you so sure they're not going to replace him?
I just don't think they can.
I don't think they will either. I think that the media is begging for it. I think they're trying to push it, to force it, and it's not going to happen. And they're going to end up shooting themselves in the foot.
So the worst possible, the way to really, really just absolutely level the rabid horse is to like shoot it in the leg and like, have it like on its knees. And they do that by, well, essentially just cutting him off at the knees right before the thing, try to remove him, fail, and make him the weakest possible candidate imaginable, as if it was like concocted in a lab.
Because what's the most important issue that needs exposing yet?
2020
election fraud. So any amount of, like, if Joe Biden gets more than 5 total votes, like how many members are in his family? Like 12?
We can't even guarantee they would all vote for him.
I believe there was 8 that were implicated in the corruption scheme.
Yeah, so this is what I'm saying, that like Trump could win in a landslide and it could still be an election exposure, because there's no way Biden's getting 20 million, 30 million vote. Like after this and after all of the mainstream media going after him this hard. But no, I still think they're going to have to resort to attempting to steal this thing for him, using the polls, using everything. But there's no way anybody's going to believe it. But I think that's the whole point, guys. Obviously, I believe there's something bigger going on behind the scenes. We got a lot of rants that we got to get through. Is there any thoughts that you guys want to get out there before we do?
Just we need to know when they actually figured it out. Did Cenk Uyghur just now figure out that Biden was demented? Or did these people on CNN just figure that out? And how are they selling that to us? Because it feels like gaslighting. It feels like we're just gonna friggin' pretend we're just noticing this now, and we'll make them swallow it, because what else are they gonna do? So yeah.
Wait till all of the media figures on our side act exactly that way when it is proven that Joe Biden didn't receive 81 million real lawful American votes.
What? This is the first time I'm hearing about this.
Things are going to get spicy when Biden or Trump gets sent to jail too. Just imagine. When did this guy start looking so rough?
Marco.
Hello,
Marco.
Bubbles is not looking good, man.
No,
he looks rough. All right, Patrick, do you have the rants pulled up? I'm assuming not.
I sure do have them pulled up.
You do? Okay. Do you want to go through those things?
I surely do.
By the way, thanks everybody. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, and you can also give a quick shout out to the sponsors, Patrick, if you want.
Absolutely. Don't forget to get the best lotion out there. Go to badlandsmedia.tv/rainfall. Your skin will thank you. And for the best coffee out there, badlandsmedia.tv/loaded. Use promo code Badlands in either case to get your 10% discount. And we have Dirk McGurkin, $2. 25th Amendment coming in hot. And that was like right after it started. $20. Hot stove is hot. Thank you, Badlands Media. I wouldn't want to watch this debacle anywhere else. Thank you so very much. Yes, thank you, everybody. All the new faces here. We hope you'll stick around for our other programming. We have lots of it. $25. RL Skeeter. Ash. The chin is filled with drugs and dripped out like an IV drip.
I like it, but I was actually unironically thinking, what if his drugs are in like patch form that he's got hidden under his note cards? Because Chris, you mentioned that one point where he was like, right before the break, his eyes were real big and he was like just kind of, and he looked a little bit different. I was thinking maybe he's got like an amphetamine patch that he just slapped on, because it was like that, you know, that video Brian loves where it's a White House cut and he comes back with his eyes all bugged out.
Yeah,
there's a moment like that in this debate.
They could have put one of those insulin pumps inside of his stomach and just at interval hit the button, or when he needed to hit it, he just hit a button on the podium and then boom, give him a shot of amphetamine.
Did you guys see the few times that he was playing with his ear?
Oh yes,
and it looked like he had the earpiece in.
I didn't notice that.
Here's a good one.
From 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, like they say. But she's saying,
earpiece, earpiece.
Okay.
He did that like multiple times throughout.
I will be really frank. It's like the entire message has become, okay, we're going to take this into the like comical area. We're going to beat people's faces with it. And maybe just maybe they'll wake up. That's what it looks like to me.
It's almost like we've legitimately entered the public humiliation sector of this thing and put it on full drive. That's how that felt tonight. Like it felt like his whole purpose out there was to go out there and completely humiliate himself. I love it.
Rom-com, Chris.
$5. The meerkat Biden only did coke up the right nostril.
He did wipe. Yeah.
I want to play this one more time. This is one of the worst exchanges from the debate.
Making sure that we're able to make
It's not an exchange, but just watch.
every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. If I finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden, President Trump.
You gotta watch Trump's response.
Yeah, watch Trump.
Okay.
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare.
Oh no, I thought that was the one where Trump said, "I don't know what you just said," and I don't think
that was another wonderful one. I don't know what you just said. I don't think you know what you just said. Of course you don't. Yeah, it was beautiful, beautiful. $5. Sir Trim. Okay, I had to jump in and ask, did anyone else think when Biden walked out, he looked like Adam Pencil Neck Schiff? And they're all starting to blend together for me too. $10, Walker75. This shit is funny, and watching it on Badlands Media makes it so much better. You are all freaking awesome. I would love to go to Gart in Deadwood. I do look forward to that. That's going to be lots of fun.
Okay, I found the one that you're talking about.
What's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. That's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump? I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look,
what's happening?
There's so many clips out of this, man. God bless the microphone mute button.
Oh.
That was really, really cathartic, guys. I mean,
yeah,
we've been waiting for something like this, you know, a real convergence in the storyline. Dude, how is it that Burning Bright isn't here prattling on about narrative convergence? Because we just saw one of the biggest ones out there ever.
Because we'd probably have to we would have paused at the first commercial break and we'd still be trying to finish this commentary from that.
I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the memes over the next couple days to a week. It's going to be like the turkey sandwiches the day after Thanksgiving. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be the gift that keeps on giving.
There's a fabulous one with the tweet being Biden's goal for the night was written on the screen right next to him. And it was the word live. But if you look at it as the goal of the debate, it is live.
Just don't die, Joe. Just remember that.
Keep going with the rants, man.
Oh, yeah. I completely forgot. $50, D. Bly. How much more must we endure? This is not a debate. It's a debacle. D. Bly. Thank you so much for the very generous $50 super chat. $10, Jetty Tread, but Chin Biden is my favorite Biden. You guys are hilarious. How could normies possibly think this went well for Biden? My teens are watching purely for the lols, and I can barely hear the TV. This is so sick. Thank you so much for the wonderful super chat. Yeah, we're really dunking on this actor in a mask.
So from a normie standpoint, though, my whole, like when we went off screen, I went down, I ate some dinner and stuff. My whole family was watching this downstairs. My 3 teenage sons, one of them's 20 now, but they were all watching it. Everybody was watching this. It's amazing.
It is amazing. Do you get the feeling out there that this is the moment when everybody started paying attention? I mean, if you look at our numbers right now, it's freaking ridiculous. We have right now 41,000 watching. We continue to grow in eyeballs long after the debate was over. I think people are paying more attention now, and that's just
on between YouTube and Twitter. We still have another 16,000 plus on Rumble as well.
Gee whiz. Okay, so pushing 60K live viewers.
It's more than CNN.
It is more than CNN.
Yeah, that's pretty freaking crazy when you think about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. $20 coffee tea. This is fabulous. This he has a week to prepare for. This, I know, right? Thank you so much. $5. Andilly 36. Best stream ever. Y'all rock. That is all. Thank you so much. $17. Teresa Pagano. Thank you for covering, everyone. This is hilarious. This really was wonderful, guys. I'm kind of aglow a little bit. $10. IHNTWBD56. Debbie here. Will Joe ever pay his fair share of his ill-gotten monies? No, he will not, because he's already spent it all. $10. Patriot Tests. Patriot Tests. I almost didn't watch this, but it is pure entertainment. Glad I'm here. Thank you so very much. Yeah, this has been an event. We as a nation took part in a collective being grossed out by this old man, and that is, very unifying. $117. Thank you so much. Very generous. 0 o'clock. Nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing. Thank you so much for the very generous super chat. $20. S. Heisler. Badlands is the best. Love you guys. Thanks for doing this. And thank you for being here and watching us. $5. The meerkat. Somebody clicked on the remote stimulant dispenser. Both eyes just open like that White House video we keep seeing with the cut between Sleepy Joe and Stimulated Joe.
Everybody commenting on the Democrat side and the mainstream media side made a point of saying that Joe Biden got considerably more energetic toward the end, as if that's somehow going to make up for it or seem normal.
Did he, though? I feel like that's just an attempt to cope. I really did not get that impression.
I feel like he started slurring more.
Yeah, his teeth were falling out more, for sure.
They thought he was forceful when he started going after Trump about golf and whining and whatnot.
Oh, wonderful.
They have this understanding, this idea that they can just provoke Donald Trump and all of his MAGA supporters into being raging lunatics anytime they want by making fun of us a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's incredible that they actually think that tactic that works on all of them will work on us at this point.
And they were attempting to use it as a talking point for negatives on Trump during the debate. Like, Joe was obviously going after Donald in a very personal way the entire time, calling him names, acting like a schoolyard bully. And then they were like, oh, Trump looked like a small, pathetic man when he was throwing insults at Biden.
They've said the same things now for 9 years.
Yep.
And the second Trump let all of it roll off his back until you brought up his golf game. And then he was, dude, he wrecked Joe Biden. Like, it's almost worth it to watch that clip again. Like Biden was spitting shit about golf that he has no idea. No idea.
Mm-hmm. That's so funny. There's no way you have a six.
I'm a six handicap.
No.
No, Juice. Maybe on one hole.
Oh my gosh. I'm just wondering, do you see these mainstream media characters and their reaction as being an example of people who were believing their own bullshit for a really long time and just couldn't keep it up any longer? I mean, it's one explanation, I guess. Right. $10, the meerkat. Where do we have wood? I love Trump more than ever. 6-8 WTF. Who cares? Agreed, the meerkat. Thank you so much. $20, KL Mickelson. Thanks, Badlands, for all you do. Thank you so much. $5, Phil Scarborough. I have never enjoyed watching debate so much in my life. Thanks to you guys. This has been great. Thank you. And thank you. $10, Faith in Q, just because. And by the way, that was Phil Scarborough, and he was really great and did the opening video for the new show Hindsight 2020. So thank you very much for making that for us. $17, DK Arm 17. Great job, Badlands. What was up with Rumble at the start? Yeah, that was a rough start, guys, but it proved out the ability to draw a big ass crowd on Twitter. Look, I mean, it's pretty remarkable. $10, Dina Boyette. Thank you for streaming the debate. Unfortunately, that Rumble was down for the first 20 minutes. I switched as soon as I was able to. Love y'all and Trump 2024. Thank you so very much, Dina. Hope I'll see you at Deadwood. $5, Miller Biz. I'm not sure how I feel about this CNN analysis. It looks like they're getting ready to dump Biden, and we don't want that. It's true. We don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
Got to admit that. Yeah. I'd love for them to keep him. $5, Kitty Kubiak. This is exactly what Obama wanted. Incoming. Big Mike. Mohap.
Can I say one thing about wanting the Biden thing? I'm totally down with that. I agree that it would be a devolution proof. I don't think we will see Biden removed. But if they want to put any of those characters in his place, we will demolish those people in like 2 days.
Yeah.
We already have the whole, like, it's not like they're going to pull somebody out of the woodwork that we haven't done the work on.
Mm-hmm.
We can destroy these people in like 2 seconds. They're going to have a contest. They're going to have a contest with all these people at the DNC. Let them give their little speeches, see who the crowd responds to, see if they can put momentum behind anyone, and it's all going to fail.
Yeah, change of batter is irrelevant at this point.
Well, but the whole point, it doesn't matter about the candidate. It's a matter about if they can pass off him winning the election, him or her. It's who they can steal the election for.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. That's why I don't think it's going to be anybody else. What was that?
You'll be in the honeymoon phase. whoever they replace Joe Biden with right now, whether it's Newsom, Hillary, Gretchen Whitmer, whoever it is, you'll be in the honeymoon phase. You break up with your ex, you move on to the next one. You're like, this is the best thing ever. And then, you know, it takes you a little while before you realize this is the same shit, just a different name or body, whatever. Same thing.
I want Hillary so bad.
It's crazy.
I mean, that's the rematch
Somebody
that we really
clip that.
deserve. That's the rematch that we deserve.
I think the direction that they're going in is they're just going to go with, no, we need to have a situation where no reasonable person could ever consider voting for one over the other.
Yep.
And they don't get that with Hillary. They do get that with a decrepit old pedophile.
Spot on. Keep rolling.
Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting.
How do you keep forgetting that?
I know, right? $20. C. Yelly, Badlands Rocks. Let's go. Brandon Mohap on deck. Hey, Mike. $2. BS Girl 1950. They set him up to take him out. No magic shot. True. $20. Hot stove is hot. Remember to vet your down ballot. Let's make sure we vote in people who have Trump's back. Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do, right? It's mostly just voting straight ticket Republican and hoping for the best. It's the primaries, I guess, where you get the real work done. Wouldn't you say? You know,
I wouldn't. I think that's how we get a uniparty back in business. I don't know why we're going to go from a period of fake elections and then just fill a circle out next to whoever has an R next to their name. I mean, sooner or later we got to learn these lessons.
I'm personally not
so nuts.
I'm personally not going to fill in a circle out next to somebody's name just because it has an R on it. If there's somebody in my area that is a Republican that I don't like, I just won't vote in that particular race. I'm not going to fill a circle out just for somebody because they're Republican. It's kind of how we got in this shit in the first place.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I see your point. $20. Horse lover. Thanks all and thank you. $1. The meerkat Biden watching this. No, he doesn't even remember this happened. Fair point. $10. Freight Awakening. Rumble crashed on me. Had to watch on ScrewTube and the fucktards kept talking over everything. Love seeing the lizard people melt down. That was a massacre. A real hawk tua. $1 Keith O'Higgins. Best part was when DJT called Biden Brandon at the end of the immigration question, whether he was going to say Brandon Tierney, the border officer who died, but saying Brandon was classic.
Yeah.
Brandon Judd.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. $5 Patrick GBPP 417. They had to know how bad off Joe was, so this was no surprise. Hard to believe they went to this much pain to jettison Brandon. You know, it is hard to believe. $25 Texas Jules. Shout out to Badlandia Zoom chat watching tonight. We rock. And a shout out back to you. Thank you very much for watching and putting it on Zoom too. $1, the meerkat screaming into their My Pillow. Thank you very much. $50, Kathy K 2020, staying with liberal friends in Georgia. They went to bed after the first 20 minutes. I sat alone in their living room, drinking wine, watching, shocked there was no rug pull tonight. It's happening. That's it. That's it. There was no freaking rug pull. How do you like that? Isn't that weird? It's creepy.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
I know. $1. Freight Awakening, change of batter coming. Get your Newsom and Mohap memes ready. Standing at the ready, soldier. $20. Aussie Mix 73. Love you all so damn much. Thank you for doing this, Chris, Paul, and Patrick, my guys on 2020. Thank you. See you all on the range. I think that might be somebody who listens to the end game at imyourmoderator.substack.com. $2. Keith O'Higgins. Border agents have called out Joe Biden lie about their support. Glad Dana Bash didn't get Trump pissed. He kept one in the chamber about her husband being one of the 51 spy signers. That is true. They did used to be married. $5. Jen Kett. Best part of the debate was Joe challenging a guy who owns multiple golf courses to a driving contest. Yes. $10. Badlands media fan. If Biden wasn't, quote, inaugurated until January 20th, why did he say he was in the room next to the Oval Office on January 6th, 2021? At Badlands media fan. Wow.
Check out the flash poll CNN did.
Okay. Who won the debate? First debate 2024, Trump 67, Biden 33. And then second debate 2020, Trump 39%, Biden 53%. Oh, what a time that was, wasn't it? First debate 2020, Trump 28%, Biden 60%.
I actually can't wait till your hindsight 2020 show gets to the first debate.
Bro, that is so creepy that they were so fake back then that they made up a poll that said only 28% of people thought that Trump won the debate. That's ridiculous.
And what's even funnier is this most recent poll is fake by just as much of a margin.
Hey, John, can you pull those polls back up for a second? So those numbers, the 2020 debates don't add up to 100, which means in those two debates, there were a percentage of people who were uncertain and didn't know one way or the other. Tonight's debate adds up to 100. I wonder if that means that 33% is officially the number of people who are delusional Biden supporters and will support him no matter what.
I think instead it's most likely that they just made those polls up entirely.
Well, I can't compete with everything's fake and gay, so.
Well, it's that magic number.
Sorry,
33.
Brian. I know it's my go-to
33.
move, but it just seems that way.
I said today, people have got to stop being mad at us for calling everything fake. And we are, I am just going to start being mad at people for calling things real. I mean, we're just being shown shit on the television. There's no requirement whatsoever for a poll to even have been done.
Except for from people we like and trust.
Yes. And there are two of those.
Yeah, basically two. Yeah.
And they admit the problems with what.
And yeah, they know that their methods have, potential for being inaccurate, of course.
Yeah.
But what's going to be funny is when they can't get rid of Biden and they do this poll like October 15th and they have it like 51%, 49% Trump to Biden.
They will. That will be so epic, dude. $1, the meerkat to change batters will require balls. Mohap. $200. So generous. Thank you so much. Lovely infidel. Couldn't do this without y'all. Much love. Thank you very much. Beyond grateful. $5. Kitso. So did Rumble submit to the feds? Or did the feds use their right away given by the Supreme Court to censor the public unknowingly, send ACB a copy of our feed, or lack thereof?
You had an interesting Q post, Patrick, that you'd sent along about something.
Oh, yeah. Q drop number 61.
While you're pulling that up, just shout out to X, because when Rumble went down, we're up on X and we actually can finally get comments and everything in here now. So
yeah,
jacked.
We're also over on Pilled too. Didn't give them a shout out. We should have.
We should have. Darn. Yeah, they don't take us down. All right. So I have this Q drop, which is Q drop number 61, which goes like this. It's from November 2nd, 2017. Please refer back and collect my crumbs. As discussed, we've anticipated the Twitter and other social media blackouts, rogue agents / programmers. Per sealed federal orders, we quickly tracked and reinstated. Expect outages periodically. Infiltrated. If this doesn't signal what I've been saying, I don't know what will. Q.
That's good. That's really good.
Yes, it is.
Me and Joe have been saying over on Eye of the Storm, I think we're definitely getting toward the earlier portion of the drops. I think there's going to be some really spicy shit between now and the election. I'm with John that, they're going to keep the polls and everything closed, and I fully believe they're going to try to steal it on election day, and that something happens at that point. What that something is, I have no idea, but I don't know, man. It seems to be heating up toward a ridiculous level.
Dude, there was no rug pull. This is a new territory that we've just gotten into. $10. Patriot Christologist. Biden's Biden's suit changed, or at least his tie. No way. I need somebody.
Really?
I don't know.
Take a look at, pull up the debate and then pull up the after show in a different window. Let's check those ties. Because I saw somebody say that in the chat, and I've been on the air since like 2:00 today, so I'm waning.
Biden's tie in the after debate gathering seemed to be a lighter blue.
Okay, well, that could be written off based upon lighting and camera lens too.
But I think that's what maybe they're saying.
Okay.
Well, he went off camera completely and then came back on camera, kind of a different guy, almost like he had a really badass hit off of a meth pipe the size of a friggin' exhaust pipe.
I'll see if I can find a comparison. So keep going.
$2. Kitso. Dana had to repeat the question to Trump after Joe answered a question asked of him, so the crowd would remember the original question after Jews rambling on. I'm not sure I 100% understood that at the end, but I did got the basic feel of it though. Thank you, Kitso. $2. Keith O'Higgins. Mad Cow needs more urine to drink, supplied by Biden and the Democrats. It's called Pedialyte. Because it's P and it's like Pedialyte. It's well done, Keith O'Higgins. Thank you so much. $5. Secrets. Thumbs up. Guys, there's so many of you watching right now. Do us a big favor and do the thumbs up thingy. That's so badass. All right. If you're on Rumble, that's the one. And then, of course, share this stream if you're on Twitter.
Like it wherever you are. Wherever you're watching us, please like it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Jesus Christ. $10. Dina Boyette. Another rant because y'all rock. Thank you so much, Dina. $20. Faith in Q. Pink mist to kill Mad Cow. Well, I disavow.
Whoa, disavow. Okay, I think it's fake news. The ties.
Yeah, the ties are the same.
I'll show you guys here if you want to see it. Kind of hard to tell, but just different lighting. But if you look it up yourself, the folds in the tie are the exact same. It's definitely the same tie.
That is some really excellent attention to detail.
Appreciate the autism, though.
Yeah, me too.
As do I sometimes.
Yeah.
Yep.
In defense of Rachel Maddow, she's hilarious.
Somebody
I don't know that
said
she means to be, but she is.
Somebody said that she seemed like she was pissed off that she had been had. Is that even possible?
Yeah.
Is it possible that she gets fed only the bullshit that she reads onto the screen, completely stays siloed herself in the position she's in? That's hysterical.
I think it's entirely possible.
Put them in front of this.
No, do you guys remember the vaccine just stops? It just stops right here. If you get the vaccine, then the COVID, it just stops. It does a wall and you can't get. She's already been rug pulled on that. Nobody's that dumb.
Amazing.
Oh, this is great.
I know. What a cathartic evening. $5 North Star 07. Please explain how not being able to ditch Biden is a Devo proof. I'm not getting that part. Thanks for a fantastic watch party. Lots of lols. Anybody want to take that one?
Because it would show they're not in control.
Yeah, it's well stated. $100. NV Runner. Has CNN declared the debate a deep fake yet? Thank you very much for the very generous super chat. Wow. $10. Allie Johnson. Thank you all. You guys made this 17 times more entertaining. Wish BB and Kyle were on too, but I guess the rest of the gang makes up for it. Lol. Love Badlands. Thank you so much. $5. Valesco 16. Chris said the talking heads don't do deep research after work. Was media just red-pilled? Do they carry on the charade Biden is cogent and the best he's ever been, the best Biden ever? Clown world. This is such clown world. What do you think that Joe Scarborough's going to say?
Oh, man.
I can't wait.
It's gonna be fun. That's gonna be great.
I'm going to be up watching Morning Joe tomorrow, just in case.
For the first time in my life ever, I'm going to be up watching that show.
Be his assistant.
I bet his ratings tomorrow are going to be incredible.
Joe Scarborough's hair is already at the point where he looks like a villain in a Tim Burton movie. What is he going to look like tomorrow? It's going to be great. $10. C.A. Prejean. Zach's laughter is worth it. I could not agree with you more. $17. Brandon Post. The timing of the debate is further evidence this was a trap, mainly for Biden. They needed this to happen early in the campaign to give them time to try to replace Biden, and CNN scheduled it. I don't think this is early in the campaign. I don't know. I just need to understand how those things work. But a great point. $10. Allie Johnson, can you guys put the links to the debate clips on badlandsmedia.tv? I got to send these people to. I got to send these to people. Lol. Thanks for all you do. That's a good point. Yeah. Clips should be somewhere. Don't they typically come out on the Badlands Telegram? Isn't that where a great place for clips?
Yeah, we'll put them there, and I'll talk to the people and put them on the website too. But we do put them on YouTube, and we have a Rumble Clips channel as well that you can follow.
Awesome. $17. Resolute 23. Patriot. Musk. Vox Populi. Vox Dei. V equals 555 PD, the chemical symbol for palladium, atomic number 46. Delaware. Batter change coming, known pre-debate. Tell 'em abs. Yeah, I can't.
Sounds complicated.
Begin to understand that right now, but I will take another look. $1 OD 115. I'm glad this drinking game is over. I'm so drunk, lol. Every time. What is it that he says every single time?
The idea. The
Okay,
idea.
The idea. Yeah, that's right. He says that all the time.
He's just a
$5.
whiner.
Yeah. Thomas Time 76. Regardless of the many takes on tonight's debate, one fact will stand. If Biden is not replaced, devolution is legitimate. P.S. Please unban me from Spitballers. Thomas Times 1776.
And $5 is the cost to get unbanned from Spitballers. So I will do that.
Well done. $5. Mad Mr. Fox. The debate was a perfect example of never interfere with an enemy while he's in the process of destroying himself. Sure was. Sure was. $17. SM Think. Who was the Trump VP nominee who was there tonight? Was Senator Tim Scott in the audience? Was there an audience?
No, there was no audience. There was
few people.
I don't think anybody was in there. I mean, the media was supposed to be in a separate room.
Separate building, right?
Yeah, like across the street. But they may have been able to move closer because allegedly they had petitioned CNN just in case there was a medical emergency.
Was that a COVID thing or a fascism thing? I don't know.
No, it's like a Joe Biden dies thing.
Yeah. I mean, all of that extra noise, it just gets in his head and then he can't keep his thoughts straight. It's bad enough when it's quiet.
Funny.
Yeah, there seriously was worry about. There had to be worry about his actual heart giving out during that, between the drugs and between the stress.
$1. Keith O'Higgins. Yank is looking for a donkey that won't say no or kick back. That was wonderful, Keith. For those of you who got the joke, it was excellent.
Oh yeah.
$10. Cub Edge. You mean to tell me the entire mainstream media is in the same page and y'all think they're reacting without a script or agenda? You think they are truly shocked? No, actually.
No, we didn't say that.
Nobody said that.
Not at all.
No.
We're still mulling right now. But that's did they really not know? That is a very nice question to ask. I say, fuck no. But Rachel Maddow looked really pissed. It was pretty funny.
They expected him to come out like Adderall ridden and do what he's done in the past. We've all seen Biden come out and perform for like an hour. He didn't do it tonight. That was the rug pull.
Yeah.
Nice. $10. Mom 24444. They lose all the fundraised money if they switch him out. They would have to start from scratch, right? They can't switch him. That is not the first time I've heard that, and I just don't think they have to follow any of their rules anymore.
No.
He can use it wherever he wants to.
Yeah, campaign counts. You can transfer those funds.
Yeah. And I'm not saying I know the rule. I'm just saying I don't think these people are bound by rules. I think they're fighting for their lives.
It's true. Yeah.
$1 call sign Cujo. The gang's all here. Thank you, guys and gal. Great coverage. Yes, and especially Ash. Thank you for being a woman and wearing a MAGA hat.
It's my honor.
Absolutely. $1 tranquility. So they let Trump win and spend 4 years fomenting civil war. I mean, maybe.
I mean, what's the point of this exercise? To wake up the entirety of America. We need to be unified in singular idea that we can't continue on the same path that we've been on. And when Trump was not allowed to continue on back in 2021, the country was completely divided. I mean, could we have been as united as we are right now if Trump would have continued in a second term in 2021? I don't think so.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, it's freaking crazy. The degree of unanimity you require for us not to freaking savage each other over this conflict.
Yeah.
$3. C. Kruthoff. Can someone put a poll out on their X account on whether or not Biden will be replaced as a candidate? Oh, there will be many, many polls, and I don't know which one's going to win. $20. Kim Rapp. Love you guys. Thank you so much. You know, here's what I would say. I would say that was clearly an attempt to take him out. I think that's what I think right now. $5.
Just one more thing. Don't forget. I mean, there is not like a monolithic entity that's deciding all these things. I mean, I think you're going to have like compartmentalized groups of people who have different goals and different desires. And certainly I would imagine there's got to be somebody out there within the Democratic establishment that is like, maybe this is our chance, to try to swap him out and get something else happening.
Yep. We have $5. Catbread 107. Isn't there a drop about Hillary Rodham Clinton being thrown in last minute? Dang it. Is anybody up? You know what, Paul? You know all about this stuff.
I do, and there is. I'll pull the drop up real quick.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Roger Stone just posted a meme implying that same thing.
Nice. $50. Jody IVRN. I loved this. Liberty Den on steroids. Thank you for the very generous super chat. So what we're basically talking about, the HRC being thrown in at the last minute. Is this like a later tweet? I mean, later Q drop?
No, I think it was an earlier drop actually, and it was in relation to the change of batter drops too.
Wow, amazing.
And talking about a last minute switch. I'll find it.
It's going to be interesting either way. $5. Tranquility. So what if their plan is to let Trump win and then spend the next 4 years fomenting civil war? Then we get another Trump first term. I think that hopefully there is a plan to make it so that the fomenters of civil war will not have the foothold they had during his first term.
Yes.
Yeah, I got Patrick, I got it. It's drop 4014. I won't read the whole thing because it's long as piss, but the beginning says, why are they pushing back the Democratic convention? COVID-19 concern or strategic for last minute change? Change of batter coming? Why was she saved from officially announcing? Why was she reserved for a last minute change? How do you attempt to sneak one in? And how do you attempt to ensure victory?
That's amazing.
Rematch we deserve, man.
No, dude, we need an absolute cripple up there. That's what I want. $1. Better yet, 6310. Thank you so much. $1. PJW. Hillary is trending on X. Oh my. Based Patrick Henry. Did you will that into reality? $5. Starborn 01. What do you think the number one thing that will stick against Trump and the number one thing that will stick against Biden? You guys made my week. Love you all lots. Thank you so very much, Starborn 01. $5. Starborn 01. What, guys? Who is Trump's VP pick? No freaking clue.
Yeah.
Be funniest if it was Mike Pence. Second funniest if it was Robert O'Brien, because nobody will know who that is.
So President Trump explicitly said in that last sit-down interview, I forget who it was with, but he said, I'm going to do it at the convention.
No, he said his VP was going to be at the convention. He didn't say he was going to announce it.
I thought he said, I'm going to do it at the convention.
I think he said his VP pick was going to be at the debate tonight, and then he would announce at the convention.
Does that mean he's picking Jake Tapper to be his VP?
No, I mean, Ramaswamy was there. Bergram was there. Marco Rubio was there.
Okay.
So, I want it to be none of them, to be quite honest with you. I hope that it's nobody that the mainstream media has posited would be an appropriate choice.
Chris, you were going to say something?
Well, yeah, that was from a campaign spokesperson saying the thing about the person being at the debate. And I think, Ash, what you're referring to is Trump's interview with Dr. Phil. He did say that he would announce his VP right before the debate. Or right before the convention, sorry.
The convention's right after he's sentenced.
Correct.
I love it. $20. Honey Colonel Michael Levon on deck. Mohap. $5. Cub Edge. This was a deep state satanic sacrifice of Joe Biden. Oh my God. Yeah, they fucking aborted him.
There's go ahead, Paul.
It's frightening how often we do that on Culture of Change. The Babylon Bee just put out a post that said Trump has been indicted for the murder of an elderly man in Atlanta.
And Trump truthed it, I believe.
Oh my God.
My man.
$10. Steph Asia. Great evening with y'all. Thanks, Badlands. I got to say, I missed BB and Alpha tonight. Yeah, guys. Way to
Alpha
not
was
show
supposed to
up.
be here.
Anyway, $10, Q Fan Addict, number 4511, 4-year Delta, June 24th, 2020. Attacks indicate can be defined as loss of generalized info control. Need to expend ammunition, muster network to defend and coordinate attacks to counter. Mill Civ Alliance Q. And that's one of the later Q drops. Thank you very much for the super chat. $10. Deset, remember to hit the like. Yes, please. Hit that like. Thank you so much. $5. Tweeter trash. Congrats on breaking 41K on Twitter. It keeps ticking up. People are loving your coverage. Keep rocking it. Oh, by the way, stay away from Twitter, Chris. It's mine, all mine. I love it. Chris,
You got it.
Twitter. $10. Gamble. 808, great day and best commentary ever, baddies. Stay frosty, though. Kick ass. Thank you so much. $1 PJW. Trump post. It is a Truth Social drop. I'm snagging it. John, if you see it, then maybe you can snag it.
Sure.
Okay. And then $5, Dave 75. Patrick Byrne on Roseanne said today, an info H-bomb is coming soon, says Professor of Super Rugness. Patrick Byrne.
Notable.
The True Social link was the Babylon Bee article.
Okay, awesome. $1. Call sign Cujo. By the way, we appreciate all of y'all. God bless. Thank you so much. $10. Food 32 Heals. First rant. Great debate coverage. Thank you so very much. Yeah, this was fun. $2. Denise Ann 2. Biden said Trump was 6'5" and 220 or something to that effect. Biden trying to insult Trump ended up giving him a compliment. I know. What was that? That was so weird.
There was a temporarily viral controversy about Donald Trump saying something about his stature that the media ran with being like overestimated. Trump was like complimenting himself by saying he was like 6'3" and 215 or something like that.
Oh my goodness. $10 Candy 08 beyond epic fail on the Biden and the complete definition of a dumpster fire. This was bleak for Biden at best. Can I get a witness in the congregation? Thank you so
Amen.
much.
Amen.
$2 Fredo Awakening. Can you imagine BB as a mod at that debate would likely unite the country with a collective, oh my God, STFU, Mohap.
By the way, I just sent you the link. You can pull that up and put it on screen while Patrick's reading, just so everyone can see.
$5 Hot stove is hot. What would it take to preserve the chat? This is priceless. I know, right? It's one thing I would love to see is the functionality of keeping the chat. You play it back at the same time as the video. That's a YouTube thing. Oy, there it is, Business Insider.
Trump's tall. Like I don't know what they're trying to do. Like Trump's legitimately tall. And have you seen his son? Have you seen Barron? I mean, Jesus.
I think it's the 215 part.
But have you seen him walking with Dana White?
Just nitpicking. It's so ridiculous. Like they've got nothing. They've got absolutely nothing.
Well, he just didn't seem 6'3" when he was walking with Dana White's all I'm saying. All right.
How tall is Dana White?
Like 5'11".
Okay. I don't know. I don't pay attention.
$20, Jenny Penny. G.I. Joe, you guys made the debate great. See you, John and Patrick, at Quinny's in Matomidi I'm never going to say it right until Quinny tells me how to pronounce it, on Sunday. Thank you so much, Jenny Penny. It's going to be fun. Looking forward to it. $20, Professor Dave. Appreciate the insights and comic relief. Thank you so much, Professor Dave. $1, Catbread 107. Matt Gaetz was seen bombing the post CNN debate recap, possible VP candidate. Anything's possible, you know. Gaetz is definitely a firebrand. $10, Blue 7i. If I might use a boxing metaphor, this debate fight should have been stopped very early by technical knockout. I know there was a very strong, oh my God, what are we going to do about this old doddering fool who is our president moment.
Yeah, there were definitely moments of stops. He's already dead. Just stop.
I know, right? $1 Fredo Awakening. Flynn for VP, please. They need to fear killing him. I see what you're saying, but you know, if they could have killed him, they would have already. $500. Texas Jules. Whoa, $500.
Whoa.
Wow.
Damn, that is a very, very
Jules.
generous
Jules.
super chat. I just read it
you,
like I
Jules.
was freaking Ron Burgundy, not even paying attention.
Love you, Jules.
Thank you so very much. Very generous. Being a political junkie isn't for the faint of heart. I had no idea what I was signing up for in 2016, but I'm in it to win it. Trump 2024. And thank you so much. Very kind.
Ed Gart text, Jules.
Yep, see it, Gart. $10 Electro Fried. The only thing I see is a forced write-in ballot by the military. That worked for me.
Yep.
It'd be better from what we've got now. $50 Peachy Grits. Thank you all for spending your time with us. You're appreciated. Thank you. We appreciate you right back. $10, another 179. Thank you all, and thank you. $1 Ball Shack. Okay, John. Last one, maybe. Thank you very much, Ball Shack. $7. Q Fan Addict. Just spitballing. Perhaps a really well-entrenched white hat medical professional infiltrator altered the meds, subbing out psychedelics for the anticipated, expected traditional uppers. That's a perfectly good hypothesis. That
Points
appears
for creativity.
Yeah, I like that narrative, so I'm going to choose to believe it for at least the rest of the evening till I go to sleep.
Nice. Appreciate that. $5 Fredo Awakening. This identifies as a $500 rant. Jules rules. We'll be sending a fun package soon, Zach. Love you all. Night. Thank you, Fredo Awakening. Very
We'll
funny.
send you the bill for the other $4.95, brother.
So I never wanted it to stop. Does that make me wrong? No, it doesn't. It was glorious, Kitso. Truly, truly glorious.
Awesome. Okay, we got a couple. Zach, what are these in the chat?
That's, you don't have to pull those up on screen. That's just some more live reactions from people on Twitter. You can pull them up if you think they're appropriate, but they may not be.
Okay. Well, if they're not,
I'm pulling them all up before before they
okay, I'm gonna
have no longer available.
Patrick, can you read these for us?
As a matter of fact, I can. Checking in on Black Twitter.
Love Black Twitter.
Thoughts like, bro, this nigga Biden got to be tripping. This nigga Trump killing this nigga. This nigga Trump in the zone. This nigga Trump is hilarious. I don't think I'm supposed to say this.
No, you're not.
Yeah,
keep going.
Okay. I was joking.
Oh.
Okay. Well, let's do the next one.
The pirate ship, baby. The pirate ship.
Oh my god.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just like to, check on the sentiment of the American people, and
Dude,
I thought
Black
that
Twitter
was
is amazing.
Yeah, it was good.
That was amazing.
If we weren't canceled before we are now.
YouTube's
Oh,
already
yeah.
shut down.
It was a pleasure riding with all of you while this thing lasted.
That's so funny. Okay, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. Be sure that you guys give us a follow if you're new to the Badlands media community. Just follow here, Rumble, wherever you're watching. Hit that thumbs up, share it with your friends and family, and make sure you stay tuned in to our regular programming. We have stuff going all the time. So, Patrick, one more shout out to the sponsors this evening.
Get the best lotion ever. Badlandsmedia.tv/rainfall. And then, of course, get the best coffee ever. Badlandsmedia.tv/loaded. Use promo code Badlands in either case.
And he damn near went Biden there, but you brought it back on the tracks, brother.
Yeah, you brought it back.
You brought it back. You brought it back.
We got one more rant from Alan Man saying something we all thought we would never say. Thank you, CNN. And we're going to close out the stream here with a clip. This is how I wish Trump would have answered the climate change question, but he didn't. He was much more political, but this is how I was hoping he would answer it. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Like John Kerry worrying about the climate. The climate. Oh, I heard that the other day. Here we are, guys, threatening us. He's worried about the ocean will rise 1/100% over the next 300 fucking years.
But the people are retarded.